Good morning. How's everyone going? Welcome to the coverage of the MTGO Test League Top 8. My name is Jim, and I'm here joined by our tournament organizer, Isaac. How you going? Early in the morning? No, it's not. It's afternoon here, actually. We've reached the end of this massive event that you really worked hard on creating. You know, currently you're muted, so let me just fix that here for a second. How about that? How about you try again now? There we go.
Is it working now?
Yeah, that's how you know we're doing it live,
Okay. Well, I mean, I was literally thinking and saying that this is the test event. So you were referring to it as this massive event, and I'm like, it's the test event, and my audio is not working, but it's the test event. So I think that's
yeah,
pretty
that's
reasonable.
right. Look, it's been pretty good. We had how many? Well, let's actually jump into the slides. Actually, there's a lot of information on these slides. Assembled by the one and only Angus. Went through and got all of this information for us, which is incredible. Yes, MTGO top 8. That's the thing. Yes. Let's have a look and see what we've got written here. So we had 59 players. 59 players over 8 rounds over 4 weeks. It was really sort of fast paced. There was a lot of action, very quick. It wasn't time to sit on your laurels, but if the pairings came out, you had to get your rounds sorted.
It was interesting actually. There was a little bit of communication mishap that worked out really positively. In my head, when we started talking about this and organizing it, I was thinking the same as the event that Angus has been organizing, the Canberra League, which is two rounds per fortnight. So you've got 2 weeks to play your round.
Yep.
But somewhere along the lines, we went with 2 rounds per week, and happy mistake, I think it was a lot better.
It was it felt more competitive, which I think is something you were going for.
Exactly right. Yeah. It felt like, okay, yep, I've got to dedicate time to get this done now. Yeah, and the way that I certainly operated in the Canberra League was to get my results done at the start. In the first week, I always organized in the first week, and then I was a bit confused as to whether it was a game week or not. I did like the casual aspect of the Canberra League.
Yeah.
But with this one, a little bit more competitive.
Yeah,
something that we were happy with.
You could see that in the prize structure there as well. $0 entry fee. But you still see here there's a revised Underground Sea for first, a foil for Phyrexian Elishnorn. I think you won that on a charity auction at an event 12 months ago, actually.
Wow. I mean, I may have won an Underground Sea, not this Underground Sea, because I had a few Underground Seas, and I will tell you that it was the most played of all the Underground Seas I've got. So it's a heavily played Underground Sea, but
right. Well loved.
As PJ 7 Point Scoop pointed out, these prizes have gone up in value.
That is right. So let's crack on and look at our top 8 players.
Yeah.
First in the Swiss, Max Komanowski. I do apologize if I mispronounced that. They're actually live right now playing a Vintage League challenge that they're in the finals of, if I understand correctly.
That's so sweet.
Overseas player. Never played Highlander before. This was their first foray into the format. And here they are first in the Swiss. You
first in the Swiss?
Can't get any better than that.
Big up Max.
Grixis Oracle throughout the league. Sticking with Grixis Oracle into the top 8. And if Max could make one change to the points list, it would be Force of Will not having a point on it. That's bold.
Actually done that. The only problem I would see with that is that it would become a bit ubiquitous, in that there'd be a lot of Force of Wills going around. But then, I'm not sure if that's necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, now that Force of Negation exists, you sort of see what that world would exist like, you know?
That's true, actually. Yeah. Force of Negation is good.
And we can see the deck list here, you know, it's very much a blue-black deck. Just a couple of red cards here, a couple of red blasts, lightning bolts, and a pile of sideboard options, which is one of the best things that red gives you. We do see a Lutri the Spell Chaser in the sideboard, or in the companion zone. CBR, I'll work with you on the commands real shortly. And let's jump into second in the Swiss. Second in the Swiss, Alexander Beta McDowell, a Melbourne player.
I do agree with Eldrazi Mimi about Force of Will being proactive in that it protects your combo. That is something that is certainly different. Yeah.
Yeah. So Alexander, a big fan of playing fairly. You can see playing today, Jund midrange. Played through the league, Jund midrange. All Jund midrange.
Grimflayer making an appearance, which I love. You can mill your own Croaxa.
Yep.
Croxa, thank you. Which is pretty sweet. Also, just Grimflayer's a sweet card. I like, really enjoy.
Yeah, really cool card. And all of these cards here, they're just, they do what's written on the box. There's no funny business. They're just easy 2-for-1s, efficient 1-for-1s. Lands that draw cards.
Yeah, Duress Inquisition, Thoughtseize, Hymn to Torak, just some stuff.
Some straightforward magic.
Yeah, I like it.
Third in the Swiss, we've got Ethan Bird, and we've got a third really distinct deck list here. These three players that we're looking at in the top three are very different decks.
Keeping them honest. Ethan Bird on mono red aggro.
That's it. And once again, played it all the way through the league. Mono red.
Yep.
I mean, I have never seen Ethan Bird sleeve up anything except mono red in this format. It's his baby, and he'll play it until he dies. And he's back on it again today. Possibly might be some metagame adjustments in the sideboard or in the main deck for the closed metagame top 8. But no big shifts.
Just price of progressing people until the end of time.
I mean, that's exactly it. Price of progress does kill people. So does Blood Moon. Blood Moon, very favoured against these 4-color decks, especially the ones that are eschewing on mana dorks these days. But there doesn't seem to be that much greed in the top 8 at the moment.
I played against Ethan in the Swiss portion of this event, and I certainly was feeling pretty comfortable on like 12 or 14 life or something, and then got a couple bolted into turn and then untap and price of progress for lethal when I had lethal myself.
That sounds about right. All right, fourth in the Swiss, Michael Billinghurst. Yet again, another distinct deck. Loves playing Esper, loves playing cards that don't do anything. And he's here with it again.
Just solid stuff. Like always with the solid stuff.
So Michael's plan is to never be proactive at the cost of being reactive.
Well, I mean, Inquisition's a little bit proactive, but that's it. Is there Inquisition and Thoughtseize?
Inquisition, Thoughtseize, to some extent, cards like Ethereal Forager and Monastery Mentor, but never at the cost of not having interaction yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
You can see, 2 forces here: Force of Will, Force of Negation, a plethora of cheap interaction as well, whether it's counter magic or removal. Unearth for the Mentor is sort of a token card of Michael's. Loves playing it.
Yeah. Also, Ethereal Forger, so sweet.
Yeah. Jumping into the bottom half of the Swiss, so we actually get to see who some of these players are pairing against now. So Michael on Esper Tempo in 4th place will be against 5th place, which is Jamie Schoneveld. Again, apologise if I mispronounced that. Hasn't had a lot of experience with the format. Only really played a little side event at a GP before this format, and has jumped onto this this Underworld Breach artifact deck. It's sort of showing up everywhere at the moment. It's there's a lot of different builds of it. You yourself played some sort of Underworld Breach Tolarian Academy deck last week. Am I right?
Yeah, so I didn't play the Breach, but I
Okay.
did play Tolarian Academy. Tolarian Academy combo-based deck with that Time Twister as well. Which
Sure. So Jamie opting to go for the Black Lotus Underworld Breach, the very compact Brain Freeze kill condition, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And a pile of baubles. No Tolarian Academy in here to power out these fast kills you see. And we see a main deck Lurus of the Dream Den. Opting not to play it in the companion zone, you'd be losing out on quite a few of these main deck cards here.
Yeah,
jamming
paying
in
the extra 3 mana is a big difference. Whereas, you can go like Black Lotus, Lurus, play Black Lotus, which is pretty sweet. You see, like Hull Breacher is really so good in this deck when you can go
Absolutely.
Twister or Wheel of Fortune.
Hull Breacher and any draw 7, definitely a cool trick,
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Jamie will be against Michael in the round of 8. Esper Tempo against Wheel of Trinkets. Next up, 6th in the Swiss, we have Greg Dyer, another American player, actually. Here from San Fran. Never played the format before. Brand new to the format. Also playing almost the exact same deck, actually. There's a few key differences in the main deck. Things like Chrome Mox over Jeweled Bauble for Jamie. But mostly the same deck.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg is going to be paired against, I believe, Ethan on Mono Red.
That'll be interesting. They will 2 ships passing in the night, not really interacting with each other. Maybe like in the sideboard we might see some artifact removal, some Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast from Ethan. In the sideboard for Jamie, not really anything.
There's 2 Blue Blasts and a Timely Reinforcements. Your options are kind of limited, I guess.
Didn't see the Blue Blast there, but that's sweet.
I guess the plan is just kill your opponent, Hull Breacher, draw 7, kill them. That works fine as well. Mana Vault instead of Time Twister is another key difference in this deck compared to the last. So a little bit more explosive, a little bit less on the draw 7s. Be a cool one to watch. 7th in the Swiss, we've got Jason Gain. Here from Sydney. I believe he's the only Sydney sider in the top 8. I could be wrong. Sydney, Australia. And he's another representative of this sort of fair magic. Just good cards in a pile. 4 colors of good cards, even.
Yep. Yeah. This is my kind of deck.
This is, it's exactly it's just cards that are good. It's as simple as that. The game plan is every single card of mine is worth 1.5 of yours. Good luck. You see a plethora of Planeswalkers here. Renin 6, Dak Faden, Liliana, Oko, Narset, Chandra, Jace. Wow, what a pile of walkers, I mean. And that'll actually be a completely fair matchup of Jason versus Alex on Jund.
Ooh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, so we've got Jund against Jund Blue.
Yeah, with the mana drain as well. Sneaky mana drain.
Oh, okay. Is there a companion in the sideboard for it? No, there's not.
No.
Okay.
So that'll be... there's some... Basically, it's Chandra is the only 4-drop. So,
and
no, it's got Jace. And technically, Cass is a card.
You can power out like Opposition Agent and that sort of thing as well.
Oh, like it's just a double spell kind of turn.
Lastly, 8th place in the Swiss, Damon Alexander, another American representative. Not played Australian Highlander before. Has dabbled in the Canadian equivalent though, the Canadian 10-point Highlander. Slightly different format, 100 card, no sideboard, compared to 60 card with a sideboard. And he's here to cast Ancestral Recall multiple times. That's the plan.
Yeah, that's a good plan. If you haven't played the format before and you're like, I'm going to do things that are fun and good, playing multiple Ancestral Recalls.
Yeah. Good option. Spellseeker to find it. Ancestral Recall, you got Snapcaster and Mystic Sanctuary to recur them. Gifts Ungiven, quite common in these sort of Ancestral Recall soup decks, although I don't think I see it today. I do see a Shark Typhoon. I'm really excited to see
Shark Typhoon.
a giant shark on the board ready to go.
And a Logic Knot as well. I like seeing a Logic Knot.
Lots of counterspells in this deck. Lots of counterspells. And this will be against the first place participant, which is our Grixis Oracle player, I believe.
That'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah. Now, if you missed any of the deck lists, !decks in the chat. We'll get you the link to all of them. But here's how it looks. Isaac, what's your pick from the field? What do you think's who's got the edge in their round of 8, and then maybe in the wider competition?
Yeah, that's interesting. So we've got Max versus Damon in the top, and with Max was
Grixis Oracle.
Grixis Oracle versus this control deck. I'm gonna put the control deck as
okay,
a little bit edged out here. The thing is with Oracle is that you can win out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
It's like really good deck.
The deck is quite good against control as well. It can sort of play this very grindy interactive game, and then if you slip, that's that, you know? Yeah.
So that's going to be a tight match, but I'm gonna kind of flip the coin and have it deliberately land on Blue Moon. Damon winning that one. Then in the second one we've got Alex on Jund versus Jund Blue.
Yep, that's right.
With Jason. That's interesting. I think I'm gonna go with the Uro. I think the Uro is going to be a big difference here.
Uro specifically, then.
Yeah, although we do see like a Wasteland and a Red and 6 against the 4-color deck with Strip Mine as well.
That's right. The Jund player does have a few answers for the sort of greedy mana bases in the Ren and 6, Wasteland, Strip Mine, sideboard Choke and Boil could come into play against the islands.
Yeah, so I think that'll be the key factor. I think that's the thing that Alex is doing that is more powerful.
Sure.
Which is the Waste and Strip recursion. So if we can see an early Waste or Strip, messing with the mana, then looking at the 4C deck, there's no mana dorks there.
That's right. No mana dorks does leave you a little bit weak to these moon effects.
I'm going to change it. Get out of here, Uro. Uro's not doing its thing. I'm going to go with Jund.
All right. The third match, we've got Mono Red against this Wheel of Trinkets Underworld Breach combo deck.
Yep.
Who's got the edge there?
I'm going to say Greg's going to be very much up game 1. And then game 2, I think it'll be interesting. I suspect that Ethan will pull it out in game 2, being on the play and having some more interaction.
Sure.
With the different artifact removal. And then game 3, I think that'll be really tight. And if Greg doesn't mulligan, then I will say Greg will win. And if there are mulligans involved, then I'll say Ethan. So I guess I should actually choose one. How about I throw it to you, Jimbo? What do you reckon?
Look, I'm a big fan of these sort of fun police, mono red, red black, red blue, aggressive burn decks. Last IRL tournament I played one of these to a reasonable finish, and I've got to put my weight behind it. I reckon Ethan's got. I think Ethan's going all the way to the top. I'll call it now.
All right.
I haven't actually looked at his individual matchups, but I'm not one to make educated guesses. I'm here to just throw my weight behind him. Let's get the mono red all the way.
Astrolabe is a hell of a card in that Waste Strip Mine situation.
Very true.
Is there an Astrolabe? Is that happening in Chasing Games deck?
No Snowlands. Only basic islands.
Yeah, okay. So it's going to be pretty hard to play Astrolabe without Snowlands or without a mini deck.
And lastly, Michael versus Jamie on the 4 versus 5 table. Michael being Esper Tempo and Jamie being also on this Wheel of Trinkets deck.
Yeah, so Billenhurst certainly has a lot of experience. He won the top 8 of the last Canberra League event. He top 8s just about every Highlander event that I've seen him play in. And I think that this is definitely, based on that, I'm definitely going with Jamie. Jamie is Jamie is my horse. Go, Jamie. Get in there. Destroy Billinghurst. I'm good friends with Billinghurst, so I'm sure that Michael doesn't mind me rooting against him. Also, right. I just think that the potential hands that Jamie can have are pretty amazing with Black Lotus in the deck. So I'm just hoping to see some Black Lotuses, and I'm going to put Jamie on the win. I'm going to put Jamie on the win.
Well, that's the end of the pregame show, actually. We're going to be heading into round one real soon, like. I've heard that there's some cool stuff happening in the mid-game show. Can you confirm or deny whether there's going to be giveaways and keywords you can enter in chat that enter you into prize draws?
Yeah, so we're going to go straight into the to actually casting some rounds. But in the pre-game show, I can tell you that I'm going to be giving away some different vouchers that are worth $50 each, and you just have to be in chat and kind of interacting at that point when that happens.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, we're also going to then in that mid-game, mid-game show, we're going to announce the specifics of the major event. So this is the test event. It's about getting our heads around all of the potential pitfalls that we can fall into, which ways we want to go, and also to be playing some Sweet Highlander at the same time. So we're going to be announcing the big event that we have learned this information, hopefully, from. Go through the specifics of that. Mention all the different sponsors that we have involved with there. I'm actually going to quickly run through them now. So we got Rob's MTG Auctions. We got Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. We've got MTG Mate, and we've got Card Hoarders.
Card Hoarder. So the international lending service.
Yeah. So Card Hoarders, for those that don't know about it, it's a really sweet service where instead of buying all of your cards online, you can pay a rental service to rent the deck for your match. And then you don't have to buy the cards. So it doesn't matter if they go up or down. It's just basically renting your deck, which is pretty sweet for like all the different things that you can play on Magic Online for this upcoming event, for this event. Card hoarders.
All right. Isaac, that's all you'll see from me until after the coverage. I'm the invisible hand behind the scenes. But I think you're back for the mid-game show. Is that right?
That is right.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me for the pre-game show. We're going to chuck up this Be Right Back screen, and then we'll be back with some more Magic. See you all soon.
We are here for the first round of the Magic Online Top 8. I'm Paul Mitchell. I'm here with Michael Leslie. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm excited to get into this first match. And we know who's up. We know Ethan is going to be on Mono Red Aggro and Greg is on his Wheel of Trinkets deck. We talked a little bit about this in kind of the pregame that Jim and Isaac were on. Did you agree with what they were saying, like the important things in this matchup and who's potentially favored?
Well, I think I do. I think the really important thing about this is what Funky Monkey or Greg Dye's opening hand looks like. Obviously, Black Lotus is a really big deal in this deck. And speaking from experience testing similar lists, it really is the make or break. Like there are some just absolutely unbeatable.
Yeah, the most devastating openers are Lotus, Lurus, Lotus. I don't know, and then pick after that. At that point, it could be Wheel of Fortune. It could be just, an Aureox Salvagers and you really go off. But we can see here that Greg was on the draw. He kept 6, so definitely hunting for a fast hand to try and beat Mono Red. But turn 1 Frenzied Goblin, that is not the aggressive one drop that you would choose, right? That's good when you're expecting your opponent to play blockers.
Correct, yeah. It looks like Ethan did keep 7 though, so I wonder if he's got a fast hand, because he's definitely going to be mulling into something that's going to disrupt Greg as much as possible too. So we'd be looking at some of the powerful 2-drops, I think. Something like a Runaway Steamkin, or like a Rimrock Knight, something that can put a really fast clock on Greg.
Or I'd love to see a Robber of the Rich and then exile something face down and
Why not a Black Lotus?
Yeah, exactly. And you only find out about it once you've drawn your whole deck that, oh no, my brain freeze was that card that got eaten.
That's right. Yeah, it is definitely a worry that there are some moving pieces in Greg's deck that just aren't super replaceable, especially when he's trying to combo off. And if he doesn't know until it's too late, well, yes, then that can be a real issue. Looks like we're waiting on Ethan here.
Yeah.
Is he thinking about? He's thinking about his second turn play.
Pain costs. Yeah, interesting. So the thing that I always like to think about with aggro decks is the games are always so condensed. The games typically take fewer turns, and so you actually get to spend a little bit longer on each decision.
That's right.
So when you're playing a combo deck like Greg is, it's still kind of fewer turns, but there are also like exponentially way more decisions. But with an aggressive deck, there's fewer turns and also fewer decisions. You know, you're maybe casting 2 spells a turn if you're lucky, or maybe like casting 1 spell and attacking with a man land, blocking attacking decisions. So you get to spend a lot more time on, you know, things that less experienced players might just shortcut through.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the real skill in playing an aggro deck is working out where those knife edge decisions are and making the right decision every time. Really getting gathering those tiny percentages that cumulatively turn into a big advantage.
Mulch just informed me that Robert the Rich is face up. I apologize. I remember. It's Bomat Courier. That's the one.
Bomat Courier is the one that's face down.
So
unfortunately, that one's not your opponent's cards.
Exactly. So what I would do, say I have something like a Fatal Push, I would wait until my opponent attacks with their Bomat Courier to Fatal Push it, so that card gets exiled face down. They'll never know what it was.
That's right. That's also that extra value mill that might come in handy in sort of 55 turns or so.
Yeah, with the Brain Freeze deck for sure.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, so it's still a pretty slow start. Greg had the turn 1 preordain, which is certainly not the start you write home about. And then turn 2 go. What do you think? Greg just has no plays this turn. Is he setting up for a big storm turn?
I think that it's entirely possible that he kept an average 6, because going down to 5 is a real problem with this deck, especially when you're running a lot of things like Mox Opal and maybe one half of a combo, like he might have the Painter's Servant or something, but not want to expose that to removal. Alternatively, he might just have something like a Loris or an Emery without an artifact to go with it. There's a few clunky draws that you can get that only start coming into their own on like turn 3 or turn 4.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the definition of an engine deck as well.
Correct. Yeah.
So is there a 2-drop that we should be worried about here, or is it you think it's literally just like biding your time, getting a few more draw steps, and putting the pieces together?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's actually probably just hitting his land drops at this point. He clearly hasn't drawn any of the fast mana that lets him do the broken things, which is obviously great for Ethan's win percentage in this game one.
All right, well, we're going to see the monkey Ragavan hit the table.
Ragavan, what a dude!
I've seen Gene Holland, the master of the We Can Be Heroes deck, make a whole lot of Ragavans in his time. And the annoying thing about Frenzied Goblin online, like you would just ignore it in real life. You would just say, attack with these guys, but you actually have to select a target creature for its ability. You just have to make sure you don't pay the red for it.
That's right. One of the drawbacks of Moto is that some of those things that you can sort of skip past in real life, you have to, everything has to happen to make sure that the game progresses as it should. There's a runaway Steamkin. Interesting, yeah.
I wonder if that was the toss-up that Ethan was doing previously. Like, do I play out the Kari Zeb or do I play out the runaway Steamkin? So this is what I was thinking. Like, so Greg,
here we have some action.
Yeah, that's so it wasn't an impulse or something like that. But yeah, here comes Enlightened Tutor for Underworld Breach. Trinket Mage can go and get the Lotus.
Yeah, this is really bad news for Ethan, I think.
Yeah,
if this is going to kill this turn, then it's entirely possible. Oh, yeah, no, this is looking very bad.
Okay, so Lotus. Do you want to walk through what Greg is probably thinking about? You're the one who's played this deck a little bit more than I have.
I mean, it looks like he's just going to kill Ethan here, to be honest. He's playing out his Breach, which lets any card escape from the graveyard at the cost of exiling 3 cards. And that lets you recast Black Lotus. And if he has the Brain Freeze here, then
I was going to say, like, the limiting factor here is the graveyard, right? He's making blue.
Correct.
If this is Brain Freeze, this is game for sure.
It could be Wheel of Fortune as well. That's also lethal here because he discards 3 cards. Oh wait, no, it's not. He needs.
Oh,
there we go. It is the Brain Freeze. Wow, what a great draw from.
That was just the 3-card combo.
Great.
I was thinking we might be in a spot where like Trinket Mage is going to be on blocking duty for a turn, and maybe Ethan can like get a Fire Blast kill in or something like that. But
this is actually lethal. So what happens now is Black Lotus can come back. And he can Brain Freeze himself again, and he just Brain Freezes Ethan a couple of times to exile to remove his library.
There is a weird kind of information game that might come up in a situation that isn't this, where you like don't want to Brain Freeze your entire deck to show every little bit of it, but it's open deck list, so you just do whatever's the safest.
Yep.
There's also the Lightning Bolt we see in there. That's another kill if your opponent's on like a Channel Eldrazi deck or something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there's a few different ways to win the game if you can't actually Brain Freeze them out. And perhaps you don't have Lightning Bolt. Often the deck plays Monastery Mentor and Auric salvages, so you can make infinite monks.
Yep, but no, like you still have to pass the turn.
You do still have to pass the turn with that line, but you can do things like play your Teferi out of your graveyard as well. There's things you can do to make it really hard for your opponent to interact.
Yeah, if you make a bunch of monks and then go like Hull Breacher, Wheel of Fortune, or something like that, your opponent's not going to kill you on the ground, and they're not going to kill you with like a 2-card combo, very likely.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Interesting that Ethan hasn't conceded here. Maybe he just wants to. I guess there's no
maybe he
information he's trying to
respects
hide.
our viewers and wants them to see the kill actually play out.
That's right. Yeah. So post board. How do you feel this matchup plays out?
Post board's going to be interesting. We saw Ethan on the play this game, but wasn't really able to capitalize. I think in a deck like Greg's, you can mulligan to fast mana, but Ethan can't mulligan to Mox Ruby. So he's got to get a lot luckier just because there's a smaller density of broken artifact. Like he's just playing Mox Ruby. That's it, as opposed to all the other ones. So yeah, it's. I don't think Greg is going to be interacting with his red creatures very much. We're probably going to see Hydroblast, Blue Blast, maybe explosives. Probably Timely Reinforcements, Collective Brutality, Swords. How much of this stuff would you be looking to take in? Because you could be looking at like maybe 6.
That's the dance that you do with these combo decks, I think. I think in this matchup as Greg, you can definitely afford to slow down a little bit, especially with these powerful backbreaking cards like Timely Reinforcements. And in particular, I think you can cut some of the stuff like Hull Breacher, perhaps not Hull Breacher specifically, but definitely I think you could take Narset out.
And we see the Wheel of Fortune actually like finishing off, so you don't even have to pass and risk anything in the in your opponent's upkeep before they draw their lethal card.
The upkeep, Price of Progress plus Fire Blast plus.
Not going to happen with Fire Owl at Mutavault in play, but it's still something to be worried about.
That's true.
All right, so in 1 second we'll be able to see Ethan's sideboard. In 1 second. Hey.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. So coming out of Ethan's deck, I think it's pretty clear that we're going to see a Pyroblast and a Red Elemental Blast. I think he just perhaps if that can buy him a turn, then I think that's a useful thing. Even though a lot of the actual action cards in Greg's deck aren't blue, a lot of the cantrips and things like that might be worth hitting, and it's worth slowing down a little bit on Ethan's side. What else do you think he brings in?
I feel like the blasts are the S tier sideboard cards here. Relic, that has to be good ugh, right?
Yeah, I'd expect to see Relic coming in. I think he probably wants Smash the Smithereens and a Braid as well, purely because of Greg's. Perhaps not a Braid, but definitely Smash the Smithereens, because if Greg has a B plan of either Khan the Great Creatoring or Painter Grindstoning.
So there's a Braid, Embereth Shieldbreaker, and Ingot Chewer, and Smash the Smithereens in this deck.
Well, that's an interesting take, because I really was surprised seeing this top 8 after the new pointing that no one really wanted to experiment with an Academy deck. And I wonder if that's a response to expecting to see a lot more artifact decks in the top 8 than actually.
I wonder how many of these players, including Ethan, looked at the results of the Canberra League that was a couple of weeks ago, because there were 3 artifacty combo decks in that top 8.
That's right. I was playing one of them. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, you were preparing for this commentary gig, weren't you?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential in, I think we're getting a little bit off topic here, but there is a lot of potential in those Academy decks, but it might have taken a little bit more time than people were willing to get them tuned, and especially when it's quite relative to the Canberra League, this is a much higher stakes top 8.
Yeah, it's less likely that you're just going to spike the field. And also, as we saw in the pregame show, a lot of these players are actually quite new to Highlander. So putting myself in those people's shoes, you've got to have like fairly low confidence that you're going to come in and juke several players who've been playing Highlander for years and years. And so going with something a little more proven is a nice strategy. All right, so both players have kept 7. We will see Ethan on the play again, this time with a Figure of Destiny. So that one can at least attack for 2.
One. Yeah, that's a much better turn 1, I think.
This one doesn't even take snow mana to get going.
That's right. Indeed. So seeing that Greg kept a 7.
I saw that as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting... that's an interesting decision point. It does indicate to me, at least when I was playing the deck, I think I kept any 7 that had a fast thing to do to try and get under any of my opponent's interaction. And the deck mulligans pretty often, especially with the draw 7s. You can really definitely get back into a game that mulled down to 6 or to 5 if you have the right hand. Sometimes you draw the hand of like just a bunch of dodgy fast mana and no cantrips or no lands, and you kind of lose the game swiftly. But the power level of the deck is there that you can also get those really strong hands. And of course, the deck always has a potential to kill on turn 1.
Now, so there's two indicators right now that make me think Greg has a very good hand. The first is that he kept 7. And I think the most stark example of this is Dredge in Vintage, where you literally mulligan to Bazaar, but you still want to have more cards in your hand if possible, because you're playing pitch cards like Force of Will, Force of Vigor, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there we go. There's the Black Lotus on turn 1. But
so
no
Greg's not going to mulligan that aggressively, but it is the same style of deck. So the fact that he kept 7 is quite bad. Oh, wow.
I'm calling it out. This is gifts in response.
Yeah, what? So you run out the Black Lotus for a reason, right? Like you already don't have to discard from the Snow-Covered Island.
Oh, wow. Oh, wait. No, he cracked it for mana. I thought that just resolved.
We'll know when Ethan leaves his main phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. This looks like gifts ungiven. Oh. That's why they pay the big bucks, Leslie.
Yes. I mean, I can't really think of any other line that makes any sense.
Yeah, so I was saying there were 2 indicators. The first is that he kept 7, which is really, really bad. The second is that he was in the tank. Right?
Absolutely.
After the decision to keep, he then went into the tank. So he must have been thinking, is there something I can gift for that will win me the game this turn?
Yeah.
What do you think we're going to see from this Gifts Ungiven?
I'm not sure. That's a really good question. I think I definitely think he was pulling up his deck list and having a browse through, just like I'm doing right now, to try and put together a kill. So the standard pile is Savin's Reclamation, Black Lotus, LED, Brain Freeze, and Breach in some combination, depending on what your hand looks like.
Yeah.
So LED is interesting because sometimes you need those extra cards that would be in your hand in the graveyard to be able to go off with Breach. But what Greg gets with this Gifts Ungiven really tells us what the rest of his hand looks like, I think.
Yeah, like if he doesn't get Underworld Breach, for instance, then that's pretty obvious. Okay, so here's what you were talking about. So he already has the Black Lotus, so he can go and get LED. Savin's Reclamation with the LED means that if Greg can find us, if he just has a second land in his hand, he can go land, LED, crack it, Savin's Reclamation, get back Lotus and Breach, and then should be good to go from there from Brain Freeze.
So I think he can probably put Breach and Reclamation in the graveyard here.
And he
sorry.
just has...
Hang on, no, that doesn't work. See, this is the gifts ungiven trick. Is you have to go through all the permutations.
Yeah. So it's really tough to like think. Okay, I'm going to think through all 6 combinations of what I could do and which one's the worst. So you just got to think like, I don't want my opponent to have an Underworld Breach in play. That's my goal.
Yeah.
So to get there, I can't give them Breach. And then the next thing that would give them Breach there would be Savin's Reclamation. So I have to bin both of them. But the problem with that is they then have LED, which they can crack and then flash back Savin's Reclamation. So I think this is right. This basically means that this is Ethan's best chance of not dying next turn. Greg would have to have some other kind of fast mana.
Yes, that's exactly right, to be able to cast the Savin's Reclamation on the Underworld Breach. But even then, he's got Brain Freeze in hand.
Yep, that's the fast mana.
Well, I'm not so sure.
Oh, interesting.
So, because if he just casts the Savin's Reclamation here, getting back Breach, I guess he exiles Gifts, Lotus, Plateau now. Yeah, to bring that LED, discards its hand. Yeah, so this is actually enough.
I guess Mox Diamond was the fast mana he needed to put another card in the graveyard.
Yes, that was crucial there.
Wow.
He had the fetch as well, but
So Underworld Breach getting back Lotus or LED, it doesn't matter. Oh no, LED is much better, right?
It doesn't matter because now he just casts the Brain Freeze targeting himself.
I was going to say LED like fills your graveyard, but if you can just go Lotus and he doesn't need to escape the Brain Freeze, it's just casting on his hand.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. There's nothing that Ethan could have here, right?
Yeah. Like, Ethan's super dead here.
There's no Force of Negation. Even something like Pyroblast wouldn't actually do anything in this spot, even if he did have mana available. Yeah. Far out.
A very, very strong draw here from Greg. Not really anything Ethan could have done, except for having a Pyroblast perhaps on that Gifts, which would have been a huge blowout.
Yeah, you got to think from Ethan's point of view. He's like, I got a turn 1 threat. It's not the best threat, but it's attacking for 2. And I have an Ingot Tour. And you're like, I hope this Ingot Tour is actually going to get there. And then Greg runs out Black Lotus on turn 1. And you're like, oh my God, I actually get to snap a Black Lotus. This is incredible. And then he's just dead. Knocked out. That's rough. All right. Well, I think we know where this is going. This is kind of a repeat of what we saw in the first game. And our producers are going, oh, here's the Teferi. Look at that. He's like, I don't want anything to go wrong. I'm going to cast this Teferi as well. Yeah. And you can actually, like, so say Greg decided he needed to Brain Freeze himself again here. You can actually just Brain Freeze yourself down to 0, as long as you don't accidentally cast like a Frantic Search or a Wheel of Fortune or something like that.
That's right, yeah.
Or minus your Teferi now that that's in play.
If Greg really wanted to go for the Rubbins here, he can flash back like a Hull Breacher and then cast a Wheel to really make sure that poor Ethan doesn't have any outs at all.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of Robins that you can do when you can cast your entire deck. But yeah, this is going to be a repeat of what we saw before, just fast mana and the gifts ungiven. Is this the best gifts pile in Highland? Like, if you could go turn 1 Black Lotus gifts and have access to any combination of cards you'd reasonably put in a Highlander deck.
I mean, it's got to be pretty close. It's 5 points for a reason, right? The Breach and the Lotus together. I've been saying for a little while after testing similar decks to these that I think I could easily see Black Lotus in a year or 2 going to 5 points, along with its Power 9 cousins, Ancestral Recall and Time Walk. And I think right here it's showing exactly why I think that, because this is really just really putting on a showcase of why this deck is extremely strong.
Yep.
I think this version of it is extremely all in on the combo, and I think I moved on because it has some clunky hands. But man, when it goes off, it goes off, and it is extremely fun to watch.
He picked up his Breach. That's caution. That's something could possibly go wrong. I want to use this Breach again next time.
I want to see what Ethan could possibly do with no cards in his library and a Teferi on the battlefield. That would be
in his upkeep.
That's right.
He can activate Figure of Destiny twice. That's what he can do.
Yeah, or he could Fairy Macabre to exile something from Greg's graveyard. But I think he probably would have done that earlier.
If he had Fairy Macabre, he would have used it earlier. Interestingly enough, I love Fairy Macabre for that reason in Highlander. Like,
that's right.
Turn 0 interaction is not something you typically need. There aren't a lot of this style of deck running around at the moment. But when you do need it, Fairy Macabre gets around Teferi, gets around Grand Abolisher, gets around all sorts of stuff.
That's right. And so I think we are going to move on to another game. I'm not quite sure which one that will be. But right now we can look at Greg's list.
Yeah, here we go. So you were saying it's a little more all in. When you said that, I was thinking Painter Servant Grindstone. Is there something?
No,
Notion Thief.
There's a Notion Thief. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's your favorite card in Highlander. So yeah, so the initial list that I had put together wasn't running the fourth color. Was running a few more different cantrippy bits, and I just found that drawing cards like Windfall when you both already dumped your hands and things like that. Just had a huge. It was just a huge feel bad, and it's not really like what I enjoy when playing Magic.
So people might have figured out that you have played this deck, and that.
Sorry, I know I keep talking about that, but
no, that's fine. No, I was going to say you've played this deck, and I've definitely played against you with interactive decks, and I feel like a lot of the time the games are pretty even. You know, like I'm trying to decide: do I hold up a counterspell? Does this feel like a crucial turn? Can I tap out for a threat? And there is a lot of back and forth, and that's most of the games.
Yes.
And then maybe like a quarter of the games, you just have Black Lotus and you kill them.
Yeah.
And that's
something like a Black Lotus, Lotus,
Black
Lotus.
It's so wild that the matchup is actually fairly close. So say against someone like a Billinghurst deck, or one of the tempo decks that Greg might end up playing against. There might be some games that are like close and interactive and look like real Magic. But a reasonable percentage of the time, he's just going to have turn 1 Black Lotus Gifts Ungiven, which is crazy.
That is crazy, yeah. I think also the reason that I switched the deck list a little bit to slow it a little bit down and make it a little bit more resilient.
So Twinless Twin just lost. So that's Max on Grixis Oracle. That means that
Look at Blue Moon just took down the
Blue Moon with the singular moon. Look at that. Incredible.
Fantastic. Yeah. So that was definitely a list that you and I both found really interesting, the Blue Moon list.
I love Blue Moon. Like
yes.
Anytime
you and I both have a history of playing Blue Moon. You are much more successful with it than I. But what do you think of this list? I think it's a really unique, interesting take on the archetype.
So what I'm looking at right away is there's not a lot of creature removal. He is playing stuff like Flame Slash, so he's not ignoring the existence of small creature decks. But definitely a lot of counter spells. That's the number one thing, which I'd be interested to see how far that goes against the Grixis Oracle decks. If Oracle is trying to be a combo deck, you can't beat this level of counter spells. There's way too many.
You have to go a little bit fairer, which Grixis Oracle is worse than the previous iteration of the Sultai Oracle decks that had Uro and Oko. It's a little bit more all in on the combo.
Yeah.
But this what really jumped out to me on this list is no Magus of the Moon and no Back to Basics.
That's really interesting. I get you can see how those cards might be considered worse than Blood Moon. Like you could make an argument for Moon being the best out of those three effects.
Absolutely, I agree.
But I get one's all you need based on what we saw in that.
Match. That's exactly right. All right, and now this is Michael Billinghurst up the top on Esper Tempo in Game 3. Against a very similar deck to what we just saw Greg on out of Jamie.
Wheel of Trinkets.
Wheel of Trinkets, yeah. And so I think the main difference in this list is that Jamie is on a Time Twister, whereas Greg is on Mana Vault in his deck. They're both pointed cards.
And they both have Notion Thief. Important to think about.
So I believe that actually Jamie picked this deck up and added and tweaked it to his liking. I think the Notion Thief is one of his additions, or their additions. And then Greg actually lost to it and decided to pick the deck up for the last round and for the top 8.
Okay, so we're in Game 3 here. It looks like Billinghurst was on the play. And there's been a bit of interaction already. So Jamie's red blasted a Narset, but Billinghurst, I would guess, went like turn 1 Death Rat Shaman, turn 2 Narset, turn 3 Bob, or something like that, and now has a Cling to Dust. this is exactly where Billinghurst wants to be. So there's Teferi in play is a pain, and and it opens up the possibility for Jamie to just kill him next turn with nothing that he can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Does Billinghurst have any way to actually just look at a Planeswalker and take it off the battlefield?
I would say the card Eliminate is probably right up on that list.
Okay, so that
I think that's exactly what Billinghurst needed. He's got 4 cards in hand. If he's got a counterspell, I think he's feeling very good about his position right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Billinghurst had to finagle something else that turn, or like had to just put shields down and just play out a mentor and make a monk or something like that and not have interaction, there's a pretty real chance Jamie could just kill him that turn, as we saw in the previous match. But there's very suspicious 2 islands untapped on Billinghurst's side of the table.
That's right. I think it's also worth pointing out that a lot of players would feel extremely comfortable against a graveyard-based deck with a Deathrite Shaman on the battlefield. But that card is actually uniquely bad against this particular graveyard combo deck because it can't exile artifacts, which is a crucial part. And because Brain Freeze is an instant, you can always set it up so that it's either on the stack or in a position where you're able to cast it again with Underworld Breach in response to Deathrite Shaman trying to remove it.
Exactly, yeah. And because the Storm mechanic works by triggering when you cast it, all the copies resolve first, then the original goes to the graveyard, and if you wanted to, you just, maintain priority and just cast it again.
That's right. Very frustrating for anyone who tries to interact with that.
I guess you could also get into a spot where you Brain Freeze yourself and then have to do some kind of bolt line or something. But all right, round 2 Teferi. Ooh, okay. I was going to say, like, next time on card types Deathrite can't exile. Now we're on Planeswalkers.
Well, I think it's very important actually here that Billinghurst is able to hit that Sevinne's Reclamation with its Deathrite Shaman. And unless he has something that's a lot better to do, I think that's something that he should probably do sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I wonder if Deathrite should have gone after the Flooded Strand just for no value, eating the land at the end of turn.
Yeah, I think that's a minor misplay on Michael's part.
How important is it for Jamie to just have cards in graveyard?
So important. It's I think it's the main weakness of the deck sometimes is that you don't have all the pieces, and so you want to try and cast Breach and use some of your graveyard up to dig for the other pieces, for the Wheel of Fortune, for the Windfall, or for particularly the Brain Freeze. But sometimes you're just not in a position to be able to cast enough spells to make it work. And I hope if Michael Billinghurst doesn't have an answer for this Auric Salvages, it's going to get interesting because it looks like, so what Salvages in Lion's Eye Diamond does is it actually makes infinite mana, but it does make you discard your hand. So if Jamie has a artifact they can return, say a Mishra's Bauble or something you can sacrifice to draw a card, then he can actually draw his entire library on Michael's upkeep. Or on his turn if he has a Chromatic Sphere or a Chromatic Star, but I don't believe he plays that in his deck. No, it doesn't look like it. He does have Pyrite Spellbomb and Soulguide Lantern as options.
So those would win on the spot. So if
right.
Jamie's hand included a Pirate Spellbomb on that spot, he could have just won on the spot.
Correct. It is a lot of clicks though. It's quite painful. And it's worth pointing out that Jamie only has 9 minutes left on his clock.
Oh, man. I look, I know Billinghurst. He's a nice guy. I'm sure he would concede.
I mean, there's an underground sea on the line, man. You are meant to play within the Magic Online's clock. Look, I think it's definitely up to the player, but it's a messy situation.
What if you think if we had a situation like where he didn't concede, but then later on Twitter he did concede?
Maybe if he said he'd agree not to attack with
after Infinite Life, yeah.
That's right. No, yes.
Oh, Nihil Spellbomb.
He's a Nihil Spellbomb. So
there you go. That's a way to take out. Do you get greedy here? Do you just wait until something like the Lion's Eye Diamond, like the Auric Salvage's ability goes on the stack? Or
you can't afford to do that because you can always respond to the Nihil Spellbomb by activating Auric Salvages again.
And now Billinghurst is like, I'm going to use my graveyard. You're not allowed to use yours.
So we'll be able to see here, I believe. Nope, we can't see what's in.
Snow-Covered Mountain and Time Twister. So Time Twister discarded and Snow-Covered Mountain.
Hitting Time Twister there was huge. If he Time Twisted and cracked Lion's Eye Diamond in response, that could very, very easily have turned the corner here for Jamie. As it is, I think he's looking like he's in trouble. I don't know what is in Michael's hand, but I feel like he has this game firmly in his grip at this point.
Yeah, often in something like the Esper tempo seat, you have to decide between being disruptive and, say, taking a clock, like a turn off the clock, something like that. I think in this game, it's got to the point where he's got, it's turn 6, he's got tons of land, he's got tons of interaction. He's still leaving up Watery Grave Tundra. Who knows at this point if he's got a counterspell or not, but he's just able to handle a graveyard and plenty of hits from Tasiga.
Yeah, I think, look, yeah, so he's holding Dovin's Veto. He got Dovin's Veto back off the Tasiga, which is a huge deal. Yeah. I do find it interesting that Michael's activated neither Deathrite Shaman nor Nihil Spellbomb in his turn, and instead chose to cast Mage.
The cost is just 1 and a white. So so there could be a situation where, say, Jamie cracks LED for triple white, targets the LED with the ability, Billinghurst responds with Spellbomb, and then Jamie responds with targeting LED and targeting the Pirate Spellbomb he just discarded out of hand or something like that. Like
that's right.
If we didn't know about the Dovin's Veto, that is a window to win, but Billinghurst knows he has Veto, Jamie knows he has Veto.
Well,
I was reminded that he had Veto.
Doesn't even beat that.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he just recurs Pirate Spellbomb infinite times. So yeah, there are definitely outs, even in this bad seeming situation.
There's the mountain.
There's a mountain, yep. There are definitely outs here for Jamie to just kill him on the spot, which is one of the reasons why this deck is so scary.
He's having mana. Something's happening. Oh, it's probably just Savin's back to Fairy. Fairy plus Strand.
Oh,
no,
there's a windfall.
There's the draw 7. There you go. Is he going to crack it? The priority's already passed to Billinghurst. We can see that his timer is counting down.
Easy Veto, I think.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, easy, don't crack LED because you know this windfall's not going to resolve. Like if you're Billinghurst, you can't let that resolve because who's to say you draw a counterspell post? But this does mean that Billinghurst can't activate the Deathrite Shaman, which means he can't present lethal, right? Because if it goes to Billinghurst's turn, he can attack with his 4-powered guy and his two powered guys. He blocks Tasiga, chumping with the salvages, takes 2, Deathrite drains for 2. If he was able to Force of Negation.
Force of Negation is it's a fantastic draw here.
So technically, if Jamie chumps with the salvages, he's not dead this turn. But with 0 cards in hand and no salvages anymore,
he's just going to put himself dead on board.
Honestly, it's probably a higher EV play to do that.
Hope Michael misses it. Yep. That seems reasonable. And Michael takes it down in 3 games, which is kind of where I would expect it. So we're going to move to Michael's deck list now. It's a deck that he's been refining for a long time, actually. He
definitely was playing this deck
at CanCon. It was an Oracle version of the deck when the Oracle was 0 points. But he'd been iterating it on it before then and doing quite well with it. And he shelved it for a while, but he's brought it back out for this tournament. And I think once you see the matchups that he faced, I think it was a really good choice.
I think this kind of shell, particularly a base blue-black shell, has heaps of space in Highlander. And people who look at this kind of deck list a lot can pick up on the differences, like what white brings to the table or what the inclusion of Thassa's Oracle brings to the table. So interesting that Billinghurst has opted for the white version. He gets to play things like Teferi, well, in the main deck, just Teferi, Mentor, and Swords. Stony Silence in the sideboard, Dovin's Veto on the sideboard. Like, he must believe that has a stronger upside than, say, Blasts out of red or Uro out of green, things like that. Or like a Veil of Summer, Abrupt Decay, that kind of stuff.
It is interesting to me that he doesn't have more white cards in the board, because typically when I lean on white in a deck like this, when you're splashing white into a blue-black shell, it's often because you have those really powerful white sideboard cards. And so, but yeah, I think it's like a tried and proven tempo shell. I know you've messed around with Crix's versions. They all play sort of I guess 65 of the same 75. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's probably not too far off. You know, you include the blue cantrips, the black discard, the blue counter spells, the good blue and black creatures, seasoned to taste. Now, we can see the bracket here. You might have to jog my memory who won out of these. So we did see...
Damon on Blue Moon took down...
So we saw Damon on the win screen just there.
That's right. So he took down... He beat Grixis Oracle to move into the semi-finals.
So it'll be Esper Tempo versus
That's right,
Blue Red Moon.
Yep. And then Jason, who was on Jund plus Blue, beat Jund, which I think is to be expected. It's the... when you play those grindy decks, the blue, like the deck that is a little bit more greedy tends to get over the top. And then the last one
was the other Trinket deck that we saw, the one that we watched the first match.
Oh right, took down the game over Ethan.
Yeah. So Greg will be instead of playing against a hyper aggro deck, a super reactive, interactive, high value deck. So total opposite spectrum of mono red aggro with Moon.
Yeah. So I think we have a bracket here. Hey. What do you think? What do you think these matchups shake out to be?
So I think Billinghurst will be able to navigate around the single Blood Moon out of the blue red deck.
Yeah, which I think is speaking to him about his matchups before the tournament. I think that he feels like the Moons are the real powerful card against his deck, and otherwise he can sort of come in under the expensive clunky cards that Damon's playing, like Fiery Confluence and Fact or Fiction.
Well, the downside of Damon's deck only having Blood Moon in it is that maybe you just respect that turn 3 play a little bit less because you're like, what are the odds he's got it?
Yeah,
you know, it's only one.
Yeah, just jam.
So that'll be interesting. But I think as we were just talking about, like the 4-color deck having an edge over the 3-color deck, the 3-color deck probably has an edge over this 2-color deck. But they're both playing interactive blue decks. It's going to be awesome to watch. Yep. But the match that we are going to see after we take a break is going to be Jason versus Greg, and that's going to be the combo deck versus the 4-color Yidrusi deck.
Yeah,
the 4-color mid troll. Yeah.
So real quickly, we're gonna move on soon, but there's not a lot of counterspells in the in Jason's 4-color deck. I see counterspell, Mana Drain, Force of Negation, and Force of Will, and it has some discard as well. I don't see that as enough to.
There's a lot of sideboard action. There's blast. Sin Divines for 1 damage per cell doesn't quite get it done, but maybe bring it anyway because you'd certainly bring it anyway. It shoots breach, so that's good.
Not to mention he has Narset. He has Narset, Leovold, Hullbreacher main deck, which is really if he can land one of those, resolve and keep one of those on the board on turn 3, that could be backbreaking. So I think it is actually going to be more interesting than I initially thought when I looked at the list. Jason definitely has some really powerful backbreaking cards, but as we saw earlier, Greg can he can draw a Black Lotus and really just run rampant over pretty much any deck that
that's true.
That's out there. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll pass it over to the next guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you, Leslie, for hanging out with me and putting up with me.
Not at all. Not at all.
And we'll be back in a second and we'll be able to see the semifinals.
Yeah, I'm really excited to stay and watch.
Welcome everybody. Welcome back. We are in round 2 and I'm joined here by Porrig. Porrig, how are you?
I'm fantastic this morning, Angus. Excited to watch some more excellent Highlander action.
Yeah, we really saw quite the matches on in game 1 with both the Trinket players kind of living a different life depending on what matchup you get, huh?
Yeah, that's just the way that the cards and the tournament bracket falls sometimes. It just goes to show there's a lot of moving parts that can determine whether someone enjoys success in a top 8, especially when players of this caliber are bringing their best with an Underground Sea on the line.
Oh yeah, big prizes up for grabs. We saw the back end of Damon Alexander taking down Max Kolomowski, yeah. And we won't delay any further. We won't do any more spruiking. Let's get right into the games and see what we are up against.
We'll be seeing Damon piloting his Blue Moon deck, and we've jumped in on turn 4. Billinghurst looks like he's currently trying to resolve a Thoughtseize with the Blue Moon player sitting with a full grip and 0 spells cast thus far in the game.
Yeah, it looks like taking the brainstorm. I love the play of taking a brainstorm early in that game, because it really otherwise you as the control or tempo deck, but as the sort of controlly reactive player, you want to make sure that you know exactly what's in your opponent's hands as much as possible.
Absolutely, and also the Blue Moon player did indeed have a fetch land in play, so it would have been a trivial matter for Damon to resculpt his hand and find whatever tools or resources he thought he needed to take down the match, because remember, our players are playing with open deck lists, so Damon probably knows exactly what spells he needs to have access to in order to be able to prevent Billinghurst from just getting out underneath him.
I think so too. And interesting, the Archmage's Charm not taking the Thoughtseize counterspell, just deciding that if I get to keep the Brainstorm, I'm happy. If I get to keep the Archmage's Charm, I'm happy. And it seemed to have worked quite well for him.
Absolutely. Now we're going for a V-click from Spiderbite, targeting Damon, targeting his opponent.
Unfortunately, not getting to see what we are looking at. Or
we can,
maybe
in the top right-hand corner there.
Oh, amazing. All right, fantastic. That gives us a little bit more information about what our opponent's playing. Nice playing the Soul Guide Lantern main board, possibly to protect himself a little bit more from these trinket decks that we saw floating around.
Absolutely, constructing one's main deck with flexible answers that are not necessarily blanks against decks rather that are entirely shut off by them. It's a great way to maximize your ability inside of a top 8. And here we see the Blood Moon, the titular card for Damon's deck coming down, which if it resolves, there we go.
Take it all back. It seems that he was either planning for it to happen or maybe he drew it off the top, but he had the Force of Negation in his hand. He was okay with sending it at that Blood Moon. And I mean, the Blood Moon would have been really quite painful for him, so I was lucky that he did have that opportunity to get rid of it.
Absolutely. And now we find the Esper player, Michael, sitting in the best position that he likes to play. He's got cards in hand, he's got mana available, and he's got power on the board. Although there was a own turn Hull Breacher there, which was an interesting decision.
Yeah, I think possibly just trying to pilot around the counter spells that he knows that Damon has in hand. But it's interesting to not use the flash on many of your flash creatures as we've seen already with the V-click. But I think with Hull Breacher, you're honestly just happy to get it down as soon as possible. Because if you can resolve something, if you can resolve a Dak Fade, if your opponent Dak Fadens or something, and you get to Hull Breach it, that's obviously fantastic. But more than happy to just play it out whenever he gets the opportunity.
Absolutely, especially wanting to maintain that tempo advantage of not trading his 3-mana Hull Breacher for the 2-mana miscalculation, because Michael is still on 4 lands at the moment.
Oh my gosh, and Michael pulling out all the stops here. Billinghurst casting the Mental Misstep for the Lightning Bolt.
He's ducking and weaving. He's weaving and bobbing. Damon is throwing everything he's got at Michael, and it's just not enough.
Exactly. He had the Force of Negation. He had the Mental Misstep. It looks like we are going to see another counterspell out of here, Deprive, which we don't often see, but are good with Mystic Sanctuary, I suppose.
Absolutely, and especially in land-heavy decks such as the Blue Moon deck, where they can, unlike an Oracle deck or a Tempo deck, where they may hit their 3rd or 4th land and then basically stop drawing or playing lands, the Blue Moon deck tends to, as the game goes longer, as part of its long-term strategy, accumulate quite the mana advantage just by having the higher concentration of card filtering, card draw, and lands in the deck.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. He does still have access to that Ionize, which will give him a little bit of extra burn. But when he's at 7 life, it's like, it can be pretty tough,
Absolutely. And you've also got to consider that Michael does still have some more cards in hand himself. So it's not even a sure thing that the Ionize would counter whatever it is that it was intending to counter.
Although he does have this Cling to Dust, we note, as you mentioned, only 2 cards in hand for Billinghurst, but he has that Cling to Dust in the graveyard, which will still sort of find its way to like recouping some of those lost cards.
Indeed, and here we see an attempt at a block, but Michael knows how turn progression works, goes for the removal spell prior to blocks being declared, and now you just see, the counter spell as well.
I don't know if Michael could have sculpted a better hand.
I don't think so either. It's also very unusual that we see the tempo player with access to more mana than the control player.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
and
Damon did have that Ionize still in his hand at that point, but he was just out of mana.
Oh yeah, really stinks when you have that access to the counter spells, but not the mana to cast it. They are still trading blows quite well though, with Damon having that Abrade off the top, also possibly a consideration for the artifact decks in the room. But they're still sort of trading blows. Only 2 cards in hand for Damon and 1 card in hand for Michael, but he didn't even pick up Blue Tree as well, it seems. But he might have something better he's thinking of doing with that little bit of mana. It's nice seeing Damon have the access to the Search for Escanter, because that can really sort of smooth out your draws. When you're trading blows this efficiently, you really want to make sure that you're sort of you're finding some kind of way to recoup some sort of card filtration.
Absolutely, and Michael goes for the escaped Cling to Dust there, and just not quite enough to stop the Escanter from flipping, but before the Escanter flips, we see a Dig Through Time, and now we see the Ionize. And I'm not going to lie, hitting a 2-pointed excellent instant with an Ionize, that's not something I'm unhappy about.
Oh yeah, Damon would be pretty happy about that. I'm wondering if I wonder if Billinghurst maybe has something more important in his hand that he wants to resolve or something, because we did see the Ionize very early in the game.
He's almost definitely going for Lutri at this point, I think, because he'll smell blood. He knows that Damon is on the back foot with only 4 life. So if we can get him below that magical 3, then there can become just a 1-turn game with Lutri swinging in, especially considering how light on blockers Damon's deck list is. If I just go to Damon's deck here, how many creatures is he playing in the main board? Spell Seeker, Brazen Borrower, Snapcaster Mage, Bone Crusher Giant. And that's close to all of it.
I can smell a Lutri from a mile away, and it seems it's going to be copying this Gush, which is not going to require him to pick up another 2 islands. He's happy with just
copying
5
the spell
mana
on the stack.
Oh yeah, draw 4 cards. Don't mind if I do.
Absolutely not. It's going to take a lot for Damon to meaningfully get himself back into this deck, into this game here, even with the Essence Scatter and the counter spell.
And a counter spell. All right, well, we're empty-handed now. Spiderbite, Michael does have 2 cards left in his hand. Damon has none, but he still has the Search for Escanter and the Soul Guide Lantern, Escanter the Sunken Ruin and Soul Guide Lantern to sort of help through finding maybe a threat to start putting on the pressure.
And here we see the main phase Search for Escanter in case it's a sorcery speed piece of action that we're able to find. And we found a Fiery Confluence, which is not castable with mana as it presently stands, but both players going to 4 is a potential. And we also definitely have the prevalence of low toughness creatures in Michael's deck. So Fiery Confluence as a board wipe, we don't hate that.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Nasa not as potent here, even if she were to resolve, given that Escanter does not technically draw the cards. But with Memory Lapse, we'll see her again in a little bit.
We're really deep on the 2 mana less played counterspells, but they're working out quite well for Damon.
Absolutely, they are. He's also playing Logic Knot is in his deck further back. We haven't seen his Remand yet, or the old reliable Mana Leak is still yet to make an appearance.
And having Cryptic Command and Fiery Confluence, those are 2 pretty good spells, honestly.
Absolutely.
We'll see what Michael can come up with, but his draw engine is now turned off because the Cling to Dust was exiled. Thank you to the Soul Guide Lantern.
Absolutely.
So still getting even. Still getting like a little bit of value from this sort of like sideboard-esque cantrip card in Soul Guide Lantern, but I mean it stopped Billinghurst from sort of recouping some losses and refilling his hand, and now Damon's just drawing 2 cards a turn, and it's going to be pretty hard for Billinghurst to come back from here.
Indeed, especially given that he being Billinghurst, does not seem to be sitting on much action at the moment. It might have been several lands drawn over the last couple of turns, but he is still holding the Narset that was previously memory lapsed, which can help him to recoup a little bit of his previous loss. But again, that will almost certainly see a Force Negation or a Cryptic Command. And now we see the Ancestral being found by Escanter, by Damon, cast targeting himself, and we're up to 7 cards. Damon was very much on the back foot prior to this, but I would say that has been quite an effective counter-attack.
Yeah, and it seems that something that we see in Blue Moon over perhaps Grixis or Jeskai even is that when you're straight in blue and red, you have way more opportunities to get big showy draw spells to help refill your hand, and he's doing that right now so perfectly.
Oh, and the Mystic Sanctuary as well. Is he just going to pick up the Fiery Confluence and go for lethal on the next turn? That seems like a decent.
And he's got Force of Negation. He's got Cryptic Command. It's looking pretty bad for Billinghurst this game at least.
Yes, this is not how I would have predicted this going when we were 7 turns ago.
Oh yeah. It seemed that I think it was honestly that that double gush counter play that we saw from Damon. It seemed like it kind of pushed it in his favor, and which was very lucky because it was his last 2 cards.
Yes, and especially considering that Lutri would have killed Damon in a mere 2 turns.
I think we're just going from perhaps some information from Billinghurst's side. Not many things that you can take with Inquisition of Kozilek that you're like wanting to take, because I mean I want to take the Cryptic Command, I want to take the Fiery Confluence, but Inquisition says no.
Also, Fiery Confluence isn't currently in Damon's hand; it's on top of his library.
Oh, of course. They're even harder to get with the Inquisition.
Exactly. If you take that Fiery Confluence to that Inquisition, you're breaking more than one rule.
Oh yeah. So I mean, we'll see. He is interesting that that Damon chose not to fetch before playing the Mystic Sanctuary, because now he's sort of locked in not casting the Cryptics. So,
and we see here what Damon's hand does contain after Michael takes the Force of Negation of Flame Slasher, Preordained, Spellseeker, Steam Vents, and 1 counter spell. Interesting decision to see whether Damon will counter this in our set, because I'm not going to lie, I'm not sure if he cares about it.
Yeah, I mean, not enough to. Oh, he did have the extra lands. My apologies, but yeah, I think that was just I think that was enough to sort of push it away.
Yeah. If this was a casual game, Billinghurst probably would have conceded several turns ago, but
possibly,
But we play to the end in these scenarios.
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll take a look at Michael's deck list and see what we can glean from it. Perhaps we can find out what Michael's considering bringing in.
As PJ mentioned earlier, there's a presence of a couple of white sideboard cards for the predominantly blue-black deck, but we don't see many of them being particularly useful here. Perhaps Celestial Purge if you wanted to be a bit heavier on the white on the creature removal, but I think you'll definitely be bringing in your Blue Blast and your Flusterstorm and your Duress, all quite potent tools against a non-creature spell-based control list. Do you think perhaps Michael might bring in his own Search for Azcanta in this matchup?
Maybe. It's like, I mean, if you're versing a control deck, like you probably should bring in your Search for Azcanta, because you know that you're both going to go to the late game. But honestly, Billinghurst can sort of choose to go in a different direction and just try to be as aggressive as possible, try to get a threat down and just have it stick as the usual tempo plan without even trying to meet Damon in the late game as two control decks bash against each other.
Yes, indeed. I think we'll almost certainly see Nimble Obstructionist coming in simply as a threat with Flash.
Yeah. We'll go to Damon's.
Yeah, well, that's what we anticipate from Billinghurst. We'll now move across to Damon's deck list and Damon's sideboard. And I think, given that we know what we know about Billinghurst's deck list, Damon's likely going to be looking to increase his access to removal, because that's what's going to kill him. And he'll also be looking to drop his curve a little bit, because as we saw in the early stages of that last game, despite Damon coming out on top initially, when both decks have access to potent counterspells, it tends to be the deck that has access to more mana that will win the day.
So I think those cheap, I think Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast is pretty reasonable.
Absolutely.
Not sure otherwise. I'm wondering if this commence the end game is also for the similar scenario where you find yourself in sort of like a blue control mirror. These sort of flashy giant draw engine cards or draw spells is probably fine, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we might actually see Magma Spray and even potentially Arc Trail come in as well as very efficient ways to deal with Michael's threats, all of which tend to have quite low toughness. And with that being said, we'll just now wait to see if the players are ready, and we'll resume for round 2 when they are. Still waiting for them to finish their sideboarding. So what's your prediction, Angus, for how game one of the other match in the semi-finals here may have gone?
This is Jason Gain on 4-color mid-range versus Greg on the Trinkets deck. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, no counterspells as mentioned previously. There's a
few, but it's not definitely not as many as we saw out of Damon that last game, my word.
Yeah, right. I'm a combo player. I kind of want to see the Wheel of Trinkets take it down. I mean, we saw such a powerful showing in the game in the first game. It really turned a lot of people off playing Magic forever. So if we saw it all the way down to the end, maybe we'll catch a ban.
Yeah, I'm on the exact opposite end of that spectrum. I'm a mid-range player through and through, and I know the feeling of staring down that combo player and oh my god, my 75, there's fewer than 20 cards are actually relevant here for me to construct their game plan, and I better hope I find them.
And we see the best mana dork in the multiverse on Billinghurst's side with Deathrite Shaman. Having access to that extra mana, as you mentioned before, is going to be pretty crucial.
Absolutely. Dr. S bulk bills mana and life gain and life drain for your opponents.
And that's a good deal.
Absolutely it is. Michael milling his own dig through time and a land with the Thought Scour there, but we're not too upset about that, and taking the Dispel with the Inquisition on turn 2 from Michael, seeing in Damon's hand a couple of lands and a Shark Typhoon and an Iono. So not an amazing hand from Damon.
Yeah. Maybe he's just he's happy with Shark Typhoon. It's like a it's a redraw or whatever. You have 3 mana counter spell, which is your bread and butter. So you're maybe you're just expecting this game. I mean, you also had Dispel, so if something came out early, you were able to sort of deal with it. It is kind of a middling hand as well, but when you're playing fair mirror, mulliganing really sucks. A little bit more so than usual, because you just don't want to be down on lands like that.
Absolutely, don't want to be down on cards, don't want to be down on action, and playing a control deck, you don't want to be shut out of instant speed Magic. But Teferi Time Raveler has come down for Michael Billinghurst to enforce the rules against Damon. It's a delightful Ionize in Damon's hand. It's not looking so flash at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think so. We'll see if we're sort of gearing up for. We didn't even get, or I guess we have a mountain in hand. So I'm trying to think about why not get the volcanic island when you can. But he still has a couple of lands in hand. It's probably not a huge issue. Notable mention: Shark Typhoon does get around to Fairy quite well.
Indeed, activated ability.
Yeah, exactly. But I think because Michael's just rapidly ticking it up. He has no intention to draw a card. He's happy where he is. But I think keeping Teferi around as long as possible is probably going to be one of his main game plans.
Absolutely. He probably knows based off of Damon's deck list that he doesn't play a lot of creatures and has no targeted Planeswalker removal because he's not playing black or white. So it's just burn spells that Damon can use to take Teferi off the table at this point.
Yeah, I mean, paying 8 mana for a 6/6 Shark Typhoon token is also somewhat not a good strategy. So it might be hard
in the immediate future.
Exactly. Yeah, I think with Teferi, it's you want to be able to take it out in one turn with the Shark Typhoon when you have an opportunity to, because Teferi's more than happy to bounce that Shark Typhoon token back to your hand and have it go away forever. So
absolutely.
We're going to try and find a sort of happy medium,
We might see the Shark Typhoon being taken by duress here. And that's Damon attempting to cast a counter spell.
Oh, no. That's fine. He's just going to go for a big one. Yes. That's fine. The secret tech is just always draw a land off your cycling card. And then, there's less cards for Michael to duress.
Absolutely.
We'll see what he comes up with. We do see new cards in hand now. Counterspell, Mystic Sanctuary, Deprive, Mental Misstep, and the original Ionize that we saw before. So not a good place to be having a bunch of counterspells in hand.
No, Teferi just once again showing why that card is much maligned and loved by players of every format in which he is legal everywhere.
Yeah.
A gush there from Michael, bouncing back 2 of his lands. Floating the mana in advance, obviously. Might see him adding Lutri to his hand here, or we might go for another different development of a threat.
We'll see. This time, the gush in these tempo lists, I mean, you can see why I was sort of banned and restricted in a bunch of Eternal formats, because it's actually also kind of a ritual for Billinghurst. If you don't have a land drop, you could like, tap your land for mana, pull it up in your hand, play it again. So it's like really get a lot of opportunities to play a bunch of spells now that you have the opportunity. With Teferi down, you have your Jace ticking up. Like, it's a great time to resolve a dig through time.
Indeed, that -3 from Jace Telepath Unbound, just a fantastic ability. Absolutely dominated standard when it was printed back in Origins in 2015 or 16, I believe it was, and has found many a happy home in Eternal decks since then. I know a mid-range player, if I see the Baby Jace Vryn's Prodigy come down, I'm either going to kill that little bad boy or try aggressively to manage my opponent's graveyard to prevent the flipping.
It's it can be quite the situation. Oh my god. I was not expecting that. So okay, so Nimble Obstructionist. Oh, just coming down actually, my apologies. Not cycling to get the Mystic Sanctuary. Mystic Sanctuary trigger did resolve, but this 3/1 is going to start beating face very soon.
As I predicted out of the sideboard, Nimble Obstructionist as another as doing a poor man's Vendilion Gleek impression.
And what an impression it is. I'm going to be swinging in. With Deathrite, what do we have? 5 damage a turn? I mean, Damon doesn't have much time to sort of figure himself out.
And what exactly is he going to figure out here? He can't draw extra cards in a turn. He can't cast instant speed spells. Any creature he does develop is going to get shrunk by Jace Telepath Unbound. Even if he drew and resolved his Anger of the Gods, I have no doubt in my mind that with 6 cards in hand, Billinghurst would be able to handle a board wipe from not resolving. And there we see the concede. Damon saw the writing on the wall. So let's perhaps go down now to Damon's sideboard to see if he might reconsider his sideboarding plan for the third and final game of this semi-final match.
It'd be good for him to be on the play by any stretch, because he has these counter spells that he's so like your best defense against a Teferi is to just counter it before it comes down. But it seemed that Billinghurst, I mean, through conjunction of duress, I mean, he's Inquisition, I think he saw he saw a way to get Teferi down as quickly as possible, and it worked for him.
Absolutely no, and I think that, as you said earlier, mulliganing feels very, very painful in these types of matchups, but that hand that Damon kept initially, 5 lands and 2 counter spells, it's not a great hand at the best of times. When you remove the 2 counter spells from being relevant, it becomes even worse.
Oh yeah.
You think we might see Aether Gust? Oh no Aether Gust, that's a red versus green hate piece, my apologies.
Yeah,
we see both players
possibly
keeping 7 here again.
I would dare say Aether Gust for the Jund, and Celestial Purge we saw as well. So I think Michael's sideboard and Damon's sideboard as well, of course, very sort of geared towards this top 8 as good players should be doing.
Absolutely. Construct your deck in anticipation of the opposition that you're going to face. Entering turn 3 now. No one's blinked yet.
Yeah, sometimes with these matches, I'm very disappointed to say that I've played 1 or 2 control mirrors before, and it really feels like whoever acts first is going to be the loser, because you want to be the person who counters the first threat, untaps, swiftly puts exactly, and that's where these sort of combo matchups can sometimes be a bit of a staring contest.
Indeed. Yep. So that's 3 turns apiece for our players with no one taking any action. Billinghurst not even using his mana to add Lutri to his hand, partly because it would obviously discard to hand size, but also because we do not want to go shields down just yet. Both players operating with 0 information as well. There hasn't been an Inquisition or a probe cast yet. And here we see the first spell of the game, and Damon not having or not choosing to cast one of his signature 2 mana counter spells.
No Essence Scatter here, my friends. And this is like a really interesting this is a really interesting use of the Vendilion click. You can tell a skilled player by the way that they use their V click, because a lot of people are like, snap to it in your draw step, but it turns out in these control matchups, just putting it in at end of turn, getting a sneaky look at your opponent's hand, and just to put down a threat is fantastic.
Absolutely. Damon has now missed his 3rd and his 4th land drop and discarded an Anger of the Gods to hand size. So Another
seems like we're on the wrong side of variance. This titular game 3.
Very, very unfortunate. No card taken, but from click by Billinghurst. So he's seen Damon's hand, said, "You know what, mate? I'm happy with you to have
I don't want you to
that."
draw a land.
Exactly. And here we see now counterspell being taken by the Thoughtseize and Damon's hand. He has now drawn the Essence Scatter, but it's too little too late. He could attempt to resolve a Search for his counter, perhaps. Third land, a tapped Mystic Sanctuary. Oh, you hate to see it.
You hate to see it, but I mean, if you have this, you do have Essence Scatter, you do have Memory Lapse, like you can sort of stem the bleeding a little bit more. Ooh, we're seeing Vendilion Click number 2, or number 3, I should say, the third flash 3/1 flyer in Brazen Borrower.
Indeed, and Damon choosing not to Essence Scatter. What do you make of that?
I'm wondering, it's pretty reasonable to say that he might be using the like saving it up for the Electrolyze, noting that you can split it across those two. So, but he does need to draw an extra land. We're like not out of the woods yet, you know.
Indeed. Billinghurst taking the opportunity to add Lutri to his hand just then. Might even, honestly, we might see it just coming in as another 3-power flash threat, which is perhaps the tribal theme for Billinghurst's deck.
And what a good tribe it is. I think they're all rogues. Are they all rogues? I don't think the Nimble Obstructionist is a rogue. But
that might be a wizard, and Lutri is definitely not a rogue, although he does have roguish good looks.
That is very true. That is very true.
And we've heard Scalding Tarn.
All right. So we do have access to the Electrolyze, and I wonder if you and Flame Sweep. Yeah. So we don't get to use it quite yet because we only have 2 mana. But this is a good time to play that Search for Escanter. Shame that he had to exile his own graveyard just before playing that Search for Escanter. But I think you're just probably trying to keep hitting your land drops so you can stop this madness from happening on the opponent's side.
Quite priced into that as an option. And this is where we see just a slight, I'm not criticizing Billinghurst at all, but if he was playing Jeskai or Grixis, he would potentially just be able to burn his opponent out at this point. But again, Billinghurst is an expert of deck construction. This particular creation, it's fine to have your opponent chilling there on 3 life. I'm sure Billinghurst feels confident that he'll be able to close the door shortly, especially with 5 cards of his own in hand and access to a lot of mana.
I think all Billinghurst needs to do is stop whatever counter spell or stop whatever burn spell is going to happen. And here it is, the Electrolyze dealing 1 damage to each creature and drawing a card, and just met swiftly with a blue Elemental Blast. And I think that wraps it up. I mean, congratulations to Billinghurst. I mean, he ran it back last fortnight and made the finals actually all the way to the end. So we're gonna maybe see Michael again in the finals versus whoever was our other matchup, either Wheel of Trinkets or the 4-color Midrange deck. But Billy has really taken it down this league.
Absolutely, although I can't say I'm surprised. I've had the pleasure, or perhaps one could say misfortune, of playing against Billinghurst many, many times. I think I've won 1 match I've played against Billinghurst, but for the most part, yeah, he's a consummate gentleman and an incredibly skilled deck builder and an even more skilled player. Also, cool as a cucumber. I don't think I've ever seen him get frustrated. He never gives anything away with his body language.
He's zen. That's Absolutely. How when you're piloting Esper Tempo, sometimes you really need to just put yourself in the zone.
Just breathe, empty, and become wind.
Exactly. So we're back at looking at Billingshurst's list, and this is the one that we're going to see in the finals. Sideboard cards for the Wheel of Trinkets. He sort of had a go. That's a great one. I think we had what do we have as well?
You could use
Ashiok
to
as well.
Counter or bounce an Underworld Breach.
That's a great one. I think we'll have a look and see what's going on in the other match. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing Billinghurst, as you said, expertly working his way through this top 8.
Indeed, and it's a kind of deck that you look at and you think this seems like a solid deck, but it's just that solidity, it's that reliability. It has access to the tools that it needs, and Billinghurst knows how to use them.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so both players with 10 minutes on the clock for the Trinket player and 12 minutes for the 4-color mid-troll. carpet of flowers on the side of the mid-troll player, whose name is Jason
That's
Gain.
our good friend Jason Gain. Also doing quite well. I think he sent me a message saying, "Oh, I would love to like talk about matches or do commentary or something." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds great. See how you go during your matches because you might be playing the whole way through." And it seems that he's doing quite well at that already.
Indeed, a carpet of flowers and an Narset in play at the moment, doing quite a bit for him in this not favourable initially matchup, but he's doing his best to fight back. It's been a hell of a match. Look at those stacked graveyards. There's presumably been a windfall or a Wheel of Fortune resolve at some point from Greg, our Trinket player.
It seems like it. It seems like it. And we're in post games now, which is good to know because having access to being able to steal game one as the 4-color mid-range player, and then have access to the plethora of sideboard cards that you have for this matchup.
Absolutely,
it's
your
going to be
Nihil
tough.
Spellbomb, additional hand disruption in the form of Inquisition of Kozilek, Cindervine's potentially coming in. Null Rod is a big one. That is just one of my favorite Magic cards. I love putting Null Rod in the sideboard of any non-equipment based deck that I build. Sorry, Angus, I know you do love yourself some affinity.
Yeah, look, I tell you what, Null Rod doesn't stop my creatures from turning sideways, so
It absolutely does not.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It does do nothing after all.
That's true. That's very true. So we'll see what our opponent comes up with next. But revealing this Red Blast to take out anything. I mean, we have a lot of cards that can be countered by Pyroblast rather. And we still have Kess who's still alive and happy. And I'm wondering, what do we see what Kess cast in this turn?
We can check the exile cards for Jason to check it. It was an Abrupt Decay targeting Mana Bolt, I believe, was the targeting Emery of the Lurker of the Lock, which is definitely a creature that we're happy for Greg to no longer have access to.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
We've got a lot of more excellent cards still in the graveyard for Kess. There is a tragedy of no double red just at the minute for Jason, and here we see a flashback, Savin's Reclamation.
Could this be it? I mean, we can't draw cards, so we're fine. Do we have
a counterspell?
Oh, okay. No, take it all back. That's so interesting. We see, he part of the 4-color mid-range sort of ethos is like trying to weasel your way around your mana base, and to be able to have 2 blue open off, mind you, 2 basic islands in your 4-color mid-range deck. I'm quite impressed.
Absolutely. It's a 40-card graveyard here from Greg at this point with a flashback, Savin's Reclamation, finding Grindstone is the first target. Do we have the Painter Servant? We have the Painter Servant.
And we have enough mana to activate. This this really sort of happened quite fast.
Indeed.
And there, look, and then
will we see the concession?
Well, I mean, we saw the deck list. We know there's no Emrakul in the main board. It seems like we're going to get a good look at everything that's in there. But yeah, it's all out. Jason's left to draw on an empty library. And that'll tie it up in 1-1, it would seem.
Fantastic. It'll be an excellent third match. Looks like I can see that Jason did bring in his Ashiok Dream Render, a Braid main board, which is a delightful consideration for the multiple artifact players in the moment.
Yeah, a righteous choice to be sure. It's quite an interesting deck, these 4-color mid-range ones, because you're like so happy to cast a Leovold, but you're like also happy to cast, Counterspell and like Dak Faden. So it's kind of like these sorts of all the best cards in the colors, stitch it together with a couple of counterspells or Cascade, depending on which avenue you're taking. And you got yourself quite a decent deck.
Absolutely, and it's the deck that I'm playing at the minute with a Bant Splashing Red Urian deck. I do love myself a bit of Urian Sky Noodle, as I call him.
Oh, I like the sound of that a lot.
Oh yes, I'm sure we'll have a match at some point. And the clock's still ticking here on Jason, and now we have the concession or the move to the draw step finally.
Okay. Opting to concede as opposed to drawing on an empty library, which would make him lose the game. So
yeah,
we'll have a look at Jason's deck now, and see what, if anything, we're going to change coming into the game 3 of the semi-finals. Quite a quick set of rounds we've had so far.
Indeed. Quick game's a good game, as we often say, but sometimes it can be a little too quick if we struggle to keep track of all of the action going on. And that last game certainly was action-packed. In the graveyard, I don't know what you managed to spy, but I did see that Jason had sideboarded in his Null Rod, his Ashiok, and his Carpet of Flowers. And what else do you think we'll likely see coming in?
I don't know. I think actually Cindervines is pretty reasonable in the situation to be able to use the sort of pseudo punishing effect, as well as the ability to take down any sort of artifact or enchantment.
Indeed, and we saw in the last match as well, Jason bringing in the Spell Bomb to take care of the insanely stacked graveyards of its own that the Trinket deck can generate. We did not see a Cindervines last game, so perhaps Jason has decided that it's not quite cutting it for this matchup. From Greg,
interesting.
We just
got word, Porik in chat that the game is actually done. The match has been finished, won by Greg. So I guess that's all she wrote. That was game 3. We thought that it was game 2. But that is fantastic. That means that we will see a Wheel of Trinkets. It's game 2-2-0. Okay, cool. So Greg managed to take out the first game as well. So we will get our wish of seeing the Wheel of Trinkets in the finals again. And poor Billinghurst is going to have to get flashbacks from his previous matchup where he versed Jamie Schofield in the quarterfinals.
Yes.
So I'm gonna wrap up with you, Porik. Thank you so much for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
I'm going to meet with Isaac very, very soon. So that was a wonderful set of matches. Looking forward to the finals. We're going to give the players a quick break. And while we talk about some fun mid-game stuff with some giveaways and some promotion of the next league. So thank you, Porik, so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And we will see everyone very shortly. Alrighty, Roo, we are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are finally in the finals, but first I thought it would be nice to have a mid-game show with Isaac. Hi, Isaac.
Hey, Angus. Thanks for having me on the mid-game show. And thanks for all the work that you've done to create this event. Like it's like it just couldn't have been done without you. So yeah, really appreciate being here, but more importantly, I appreciate you being here. So
amazing. I am so happy to be here, and it's part of the work that I really enjoy doing is working to bring the community together, and we can do that so well through fantastic events like this one. So I'd love to. I think we're actually going to start with a giveaway immediately, Isaac. You want to get right into it?
Yeah. You actually use the word community, and that's really the theme of this. Like as well as free stuff, giving away things at Highlander. I guess there's a few themes, but the community aspect is something that I'm super happy about, proud about, and just excited about. One of the things that we have going for this event is that we've actually had a couple of different people jump into this. So when I say a couple of people, different people, I mean Rob's MTG Auctions. We've got Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. We've got MTG Mate, and we've got Card Hoarders as well. So the word community certainly sparks this like aspect of some different people coming together, trying to create something special and having a bunch of fun doing it. And with that in mind, let's give away some stuff.
Oh,
yeah. So the prize is a $50 gift voucher. So we're gonna randomly kind of mix this up a little bit. So we're gonna give away a Rob's MTG Auctions $50 credit. The way that you're entering this, and it's a little bit confusing, is you're gonna say !hot list. Because what I'm going to tell you about now is the hot list that is on mtgmate.com.au. So if you go to mtgmate.com.au, there's actually a visual hot list of all the cards that MTG Mate is buying. And there's like some hot list stuff on there that kind of pulls up some things that they're paying a little bit more for compared to what you would expect. So I'm going to run through a couple of my favorites. Now, I know that you might expect me to go with the dual lands like Badlands and Bayou that are on this first page. But my favorite is actually Arbor Elf. The fact that they're buying it at 50 cents, it's a common, 63 cents in credit. Like, I don't know about you, but I just keep all of my old draft commons, and being able to trade in Arbor Elves at 50 cents each is big game. So I'm going to join this.
I'm looking forward to when that buy list finishes up so I can buy myself some Arbor Elves afterwards.
You're the,
I have a lot of forests that need untapping, you know.
So if you want to enter this free giveaway, we're going to give away $50 credit. All you have to do is put in !hot list into the chat. And then you can actually name a card that you find is particularly good on that hot list. Or you can just put in !hot list if you want to join the giveaway and just acknowledge that, you can put in Arbor Elf, if you're with me. What do you reckon between Arbor Elf? There's also Cling to Dust at 50 cents. I'm all about these 50-cent pieces. Oh my god!
I tell you, Cling to Dust might see some more play after Billinghurst's, after how well Billinghurst has done today and how well he might do in the future. We might see some more Cling to Dust. So 15 more seconds on that one. Please get in your !hot list to enter into the draw for a $50 gift voucher from fantastic MTG Mate for giving us that as well.
So this one, it's interesting, and we're going to the community one where we're giving away $50 credit at Rob's MTG auctions for an MTG Mate sponsor. So
all right. I'm here.
Just to make it confusing.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of a theme that we'll do with this, where I'll be giving away credit for one place for the thing that is associated with another place.
Because something that Rob's MTG Auctions cares so much about is building the community, and our lovely Australian, especially Highlander players as well. I know Nick Chim plays a pretty decent 5-color Niv deck in Highlander, so it's good to get the community together on this aspect. Should we do the draw?
Yeah, let's do the draw. Do it. Who we got, Jimbo? All right. At one Dracos one has won the $50 gift voucher draw.
Amazing.
Well done to Dracos for being lucky. Being lucky is great.
Fantastic. So we'll record it, and if you don't message us before we message you, then we'll get that $50 voucher out to you. But congratulations, one Dracos. Let's move through some of our slides that we have. We'll go back to, let me just double check what slide we can go to. Let's just go straight to the straight through to the slide 22, so we can talk about the Highlander League that has just passed, and the one that perhaps we'll be going into in the future. So as you see, 59 players joined. It was 8 rounds over 4 weeks. As normal, players can change decks between rounds. The prizes were sponsored by Rob's MTG Auctions and Josh and Pat's MTG Auctions, which is fantastic. And these prizes, really something else. For a free event that was also just a test run, I was very impressed.
Yeah, Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, I first messaged Pat and said, hey, I got this idea. Do you want to, what do you think of it? Am I being crazy? And Pat was all on it. He's like, yep, let's do this. And basically at every point, where he could just, rather than being like, okay, maybe we're doing too much here, he's just doubled down. He's just, he's like, no, we'll just give away more. We'll just do more. We'll just do more at every point. So yeah, shout out to Pat for being such an integral part of making all of this happen, making it bigger and bigger and bigger.
And before I want to talk about the league that we have coming up, because as we all know, and has been sort of talked about a lot, is that this was the test, the test league. This is the one that we had to iron out all the wrinkles and really sort of prep ourselves for one that has quite the high capacity for people. We're hoping, in the hundreds, we have a cap of 1,000. So I don't want to throw that around, but maybe we should jump into another quick giveaway and then talk about the next league.
Yeah, okay. So the next one is going to be $50 credits at MTG Mate. So you can spend $50 at MTG Mate. And in order to enter, you have to, we're going to do the one with MTG Bazaar. So Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. Currently up on auction at Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar is a pretty sweet looking FBB value, which I'm pretty excited about. Plenty of deals on MTG Bazaar. So Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. So in order to enter this one, Jimbo's going to tell us what the exclamation mark thing is. Deals, exclamation mark deals. So you've got 2 minutes to enter this one, and you're going to get $50 credit with MTG Mate. So all you have to do is put in exclamation mark deals, because there's plenty of sweet deals going on at Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. The one that I'm looking at the moment is this. There's an FBB Bayou. There's also, I believe, there's a Masterpiece Mox Opal as well.
Ooh,
so
I wouldn't mind getting my hands on one of those.
Then there's, I think, there's maybe another FBB Taiga or something like that as well. Like, it's insane. Like, it's just like, I actually, me personally, won a FBB Tundra on MTG Bazaar.
Amazing.
Couple
and
weeks
those
ago.
are quite the deals. I see a Gilded Drake on there as well. Just going over to facebook.com/Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, and we've been able to find a lot of really nice things up on here for sure. Pat's been in the community now, really throwing money at us to to help make the Highlander format the best that it can be, and sort of helping with the coverage like this as well has been really fantastic. Ooh. It seems that there's also a poll in the Twitch for who will be the winner. So don't forget, we're in the finals coming up very soon between Michael Billinghurst on Esper Tempo and Greg Dyer on Wheel of Trinkets.
Yeah. So you can certainly vote about who you think is going to be the winner. And we're going to give away this $50 credit with MTG Mate by talking about Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar.
It's about the community.
Also, apparently it's about me making things confusing.
No, this is fine. It's important to come across all of our sponsors, and it's been fantastic that they've been able to give away such amazing prizes just for being here.
All right. Let's do it. We've got all of the entries in now. So $50 credit with MTG Mate, and that is going to put it in the chat. We got
Snack NZ, a really new player actually from New Zealand. Fantastic Taylor, and he was streaming some of his my apologies, they were streaming some of their matches from a previous league as well. So you can also catch them on Twitch. But also fantastic congratulations, Taylor Snack, for getting that $50 voucher.
Yeah, and shout out to MTG Mate for supporting this, supporting 7 Point Highlander, supporting this event, and joining forces with a bunch of other people. It's great to see.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Let's move on. I want to talk about the league that's coming up, the one that we've all been waiting for. Ooh. And I think we're calling it a winner Mox. Is that right?
Yeah. And so what, you thinking Chrome Mox or like Mox Diamonds?
Oh yeah. What's the new one? Nyx Lotus. That's kind of like a Mox. I'll take it.
So first place is an unlimited Mox Emerald.
Oh my gosh.
That is what's going to happen. We're going to be giving away a unlimited Mox Emerald. I actually have it behind me in a drawer randomly. I might pull it out a bit later and show people the actual physical Mox. But I guess I might be bearing the lead here. What do you reckon, Angus? If we're going to do a Mox Emerald as first place, what do you think? What do you think the entry should be for that kind of event?
I don't know, $50, $100. Mox Emeralds are pretty expensive. How much are we charging?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think $100 would be reasonable. Like, I think I think $50 would be pretty cheap. I think $20 would be insanely cheap. Would you agree?
$20 would be amazing.
Well, I don't want to go for amazing. We're not about amazing. We're about insane. So it's actually going to be a big fat zero. $0 entry. $0 to enter this event. First place is going to be Mox Emerald. That's just insane. It's
just insane. And also, we've been sort of fiddling around with the prize support coming up to this event, and I think these cards have actually shot up in price since we've decided to have them as our prize support. So it's really for free, amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Free entry. Mox Emerald as first. Paxel, my cat, also agrees that it's insane.
That is insane.
He's meowing at me saying this is ridiculous.
And coming into second place as well, we have a revised Bayou, which is also fantastic and also going up in price as well.
Yeah, so free entry. First place is a Mox. Second place is a Jewel Land in Bayou. This is just insane. This is insane. I think 7 Point Scoop, PJ said it best when he said that Isaac's gone mad. Isaac's gone mad. Isaac has gone completely mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic.
In third and fourth place, we're going to give away a Beta Lightning Bolt, which is the biggest of game. And then still, fifth through eighth are also going to get a Misty Rainforest from original Zendika.
That's fantastic.
Justin and let's get Cat on the screen.
Let's get the Cat on the screen. I want to talk about these content creator challenges and lucky door prizes and MTG Mate and Card Hoarder sponsorship, as well as some extra initiatives that we'll be able to have coming up to the lead time to the event as well. I think we still have a couple of giveaways left over while we check out this amazing young cat. Do we want to do another giveaway, Isaac, before we get into the content creator incentives? I think he does. It sounds like you want to get in and do another giveaway, Isaac.
Yeah, let's do another giveaway. So this one is actually, I want to stop before I actually go through this giveaway, because this is something that is super important to me in terms of how this event is being organized, how it's being run, and how it can happen. One of the incredibly important people that is integral to the Twitch that you're watching right now and to the community in general, and that's Jimbo. So Jimbo, aka Epic Eki, is someone that has contributed so much to the community and has an amazing stream that I watch on the regular. I'm actually subscribed to his stream. And this is something that is about the community coming together and just encouraging Jimbo to keep doing what he's doing. And I would like to encourage that to happen. So we've given away $50 credit with Robs. Yeah, we've given away $50 credit with MTG Mate. We're going to give away $50 credit with MTG Bazaar now. But if you would like to be involved in this one, what I'm encouraging people to do and really politely asking is to support Jimbo by becoming a subscriber.
Wow.
So this is going to be subs only. So if you are a subscriber to Epic Eki, then you're going to be in the draw for $50 credit with Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, which you can put towards that FBB Bayou that's going on at the moment, or that masterpiece, or you can go through. You can have like a bunch of different stuff. There's so many great deals at MTG Bazaar. This one though it's about supporting Jimbo. So if you are able to, I would very much appreciate if you throw a subscribe Jimbo's way. If you're not able to, right? If you're just if it's something that you'd like to do, I would encourage you to put in the chat that you would really like to support Jimbo, but you're just not there at the moment. Just give a bit of love. We're going to do subscribers only for this one. And maybe if there's people in there that want to gift some subs, then I would certainly encourage that as well. because that's something that's a pretty big game. But this is all about, hats off to Jimbo for the work that he's done.
Absolutely.
Hype train.
Yeah, here comes the hype train. That's very exciting. And it looks like we are getting a couple of subscribers coming in fantastic right now. So that's really fantastic news. We see a bunch of gift subs as well from Nick. Thank you very much. Oh, coming in hot with these gift subs. Fantastic.
MTG Bazaar, just really, doing exactly what we're doing, supporting the community, supporting Jimbo. Jimbo has an awesome stream, often catch him playing some random Pokemon games, as well as Magic, as well as there was a while where there was a bunch of Among Us happening as well. What's a different sweet stuff with Jimbo's stream, as well as always been the go-to for the production values of these top 8s, and we're certainly going to be leaning on him in the future. So if you are subscribed, I don't know exactly how we're going to do it, Jimbo. If you also want to put like exclamation mark subbed or something like that as part of the hype, exclamation mark hype. We're already doing it. Excellent. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And here comes another slew of gift subs from both Pat's MTG Bazaar and Snack. Thank you so much for the gift subs. This is so fantastic. Really, Hype Train is really chugging along.
That's so sweet. I love seeing a good Hype Train.
Oh, yeah. This is very exciting. Yeah. It's really sweet. And also to complement what you said, Isaac, I mean, we couldn't have been here today without Jimbo's work behind the scenes. There's so much that goes on, and all we have to do is sit around and look pretty. Meanwhile, Jimbo's frantically moving between windows and typing everything. So not only does he do fantastic work on his own stream, doing his own streaming, but he also does a fantastic job as a producer, allowing all of us to get a fantastic glimpse at Highlander through the lens of competitive online gameplay.
Yeah, it's awesome. Jimbo is occasionally in our ears telling us to do stuff, or like, telling us how things are happening, and then switching between stuff. It's awesome.
That's exactly right. He's doing a fantastic job. So 30 seconds left on the clock. Type hype in chat if you are a subscriber.
Yep.
It's very likely that
hype.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exclamation hype. It seems that a lot of people are brand new subscribers thanks to a bunch of very, very, very kind gift subs. We'll hopefully draw from that soon. But I entered myself because I was just gifted a sub. So very fantastic.
Yeah, I encourage you to do so. I'm not going to enter myself because it'd probably look a bit like...
Come on.
There's actually Pat did a giveaway. Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. This is like for he put up like just put a photo of your pet, and I'm like, I'm snap entering this giveaway, and I randomly won the thing. So like, there's a few people that are like, oh, hang on, how's Isaac winning this stuff?
Wait a minute.
It was a random number generator. It was done live on stream. So yeah.
What can you do? So we should be finishing up very soon. Exclamation point hype if you haven't already. I think we're ready to draw. Draw. Snack has won again. Amazing. He's really, really scooping it up. Scooping up these $50 gift vouchers. The random number generator being very kind to him today.
Yeah, kind to them. It's
kind to them, exactly.
Yeah, it's what look. That's so good.
yeah, completely rigged.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry for like those, but like we got to be faithful to the random number generated gods. Well done, Snack, for being insanely lucky. It's that's awesome. I'm not even mad. That's great.
That's fantastic. Should we move on now that we've done that to our next slide, which is talking about the content creator initiatives that we will have in our big event coming up very soon. We have video tech. If you do video deck techs, if you do written primers, if you do video playthroughs, you'll be able to redeem. Once you post it, you'll be able to redeem your own prizes, and it's open to everyone as well. So you don't actually even have to be in the event to play. We just want more Highlander content out there, and we're willing to pay the price.
Yeah. So this is, if you are not as lucky as snack_nz, but you do actually have some time and you want to create some content, then straight away we're going to be saying the next 20 people to create a video that's like a deck tech or a walkthrough type thing. Basically, I'm going to be pretty open about it, but we're starting with like deck techs. You're going to get a premium membership, one of the CFB Pro memberships. I will note, CFB is not a sponsor for this event.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, I guess so. But it certainly speaks to something that's important to me, which is when I first started dreaming up this whole tournament experience, was when lockdown was pretty bad in Melbourne and I had to stay at home. And one of the things that I did was I consumed a lot of Magic content provided by Channel Fireball for free. And it's certainly important for me that I'd like to give back. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I decided was I'm just going to give away some free CFB Pro memberships. If you're already a member, I'm just going to give you some cold hard cash. This is me wanting to give back to CFB for all the content that I've consumed and everything that I've it's had a net benefit on my life, and I want to pay that forward. So the next 20 people that let us know that they've created some Highlander content in the form of like a deck tech or something basically on YouTube that's really easy for people to consume. Then we're going to get some CFB memberships given to them, some CFB Pro memberships. And I might even upgrade a few of them. Maybe the first 5 is going to be like a CFB Pro Plus. So you get $10 credit with CFB. So this is not just like you get to read articles for free. This is like some actual credit that you can then use with CFB in order to get some cards sent to you.
And of course, if you are limited on the technological side, feel free to contact either myself or maybe even Jimbo for hosting some of your information on YouTube, just to get that out there, and so people can watch it without having a YouTube channel yourself. So there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to post a written or a video deck tech. I think it has to be a video specifically to win that premium membership to CFB, but that's a really fantastic prize.
Yeah, fantastic. I don't consider this a prize, right? I consider this a incentive.
Okay.
What I do consider a prize is a $100 gift certificate, a $100 credit voucher to MTG Mate.
Wow.
I think that's a prize, and that's going to be given to what we would consider one of my favorites, or probably randomly selected in those content creations. So if you are interested in getting a Snap CFB membership, make a video. If you are interested in being one of those people that randomly gets some $10 credit at CFB, make a video. If you are interested in getting $100 credit at mtgmate.com.au, make a video. And we're going to be there's going to be a few weeks lead up for that, so that's going to be we're going to give away that first giveaway a month from now, so 4 weeks from now. The start of this event, the start of the Mox event, isn't going to be for about 2 months. Is that right, Angus? We got do you have a specific date?
We do. It's the 10th of May, which is a Monday. It will be when we start. And we will be going for 2 rounds a week, and then for between 4 and 6 rounds, depending on how many players we have. So the signups will be posted next week, and you'll be able to sign up from then. You'll be a little bit early, of course, but you really want to get yourself in there as soon as possible, because you never know when we could meet that player cap.
Yeah. Also, with the content creation side, if you don't want to, be stressed with the competitive side of things, but you still like creating content, you're still able to do this, right? You don't actually have to be in the event to do the content creation. It's kind of like it's a bonus to have on the side, because you can create content whilst you're playing and have people to play against to create content. So it's a bit of like, yin and yang type thing, but you can just go yin or you can just go yang as well. So it's all about just getting a little bit more exposure for 7 Point Highlander, encouraging people to play, encouraging people to create content, and it's just a bit of fun as well.
It sounds like a fantastic fantastic thing. So check out there'll be an article, there'll be a post if you're on the Facebook page or if you're on the Discord, if you want to. If you want to find the information, the signups will be made available on MTG Melee next week, and we will go straight through with that. I also wanted to mention as well on the slide straight after, that if you would like to be a part of it, in regards to organizing, we're always looking for volunteers. This stuff is very pretty and it happens very easily, but there needs to be some people behind the ranks. Even if you were just in the Discord and you want to play, but you also want to be like a Discord champion, you can still play and help answer questions and stuff. So if you're interested in helping, this is our call out to volunteers if you'd like to be a part of it.
Yeah, one of the big things that I certainly am going to be asking around people, as well as getting some expression of interest, is some content manager side of things. So I think that I would really like to have a bit of a team to be able to coordinate like the different content that's coming in, and to encourage people to house it all in like one space, so that you can okay, well, this is how I can binge watch 7 Point Highlander deck techs for the next couple of hours, or whenever I'm on the toilet for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. It's so if you're interested at all in being a part of it, obviously a really fantastic crew of people, and we all love each other very much. So it's gonna be a good community to be a part of. I think yes.
Speaking of amazing volunteers and people that I love, Angus, I believe that you have received something in the mail, which I'm going to encourage you to open. But before you do that, I kind of want to have a little bit of a love fest for Angus.
Oh yeah, I love the love fest.
So you're going to get a little awkward here whilst I tell people just about the amazing work.
Please lay it on me.
So Angus, in the Canberra MTG League, that was a be right back from
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I'm ready for the love, baby.
All right. So Angus, one of the first things that happened when I thought about I want to play some competitive Highlander, I messaged Scott, who's my business partner over at Rubs MTG Auctions, and I was like, I want to make like an MTGO League, or something. And Scott's like, oh, you mean like the one that Pat's sponsoring at the moment at Canberra League? And I didn't even know about it, to be honest with you. And so I was like, oh, hang on, there's already one going. And so I jumped over there, and I really started to get my fix and really get into Highlander at that point. And that wouldn't have happened without you, right? So you've created the Bluebell Open, which is like the top 8. For the Canberra Leagues, you've been pioneering the webcam version, which has been not competitive, more of a community-based, enjoying Highlander, while still actually being pretty competitive.
I mean, it ended up being quite competitive towards the end, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was pretty competitive. And I think that all of my opponents were actually pretty competitive as well. But just from the prize perspective, and really, I just want to kind of point out to everybody, not that anybody needs to know this, but Angus, you've created this amazing tournament series at so many different points throughout my interactions with you. You've been contributing to 7 Point Highlander. You've been contributing to the community. You've been honestly just making my world a better place. And so I really want to thank you for that, because it's something that's has certainly had a positive impact on my life. And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the work that you've done. I know that you've said that after this big tournament, you may be going to take a couple of steps back in terms of, maybe not putting as much of your time into 7 Point Highlander. And that is completely understandable, considering just how much time you have put into 7 Point Highlander. Although I can say from personal experience that you're still gonna contribute a bunch. You're just gonna contribute slightly less and prioritize maybe some other things in your life, which I encourage you to do, whilst knowing that you're not going to go anywhere. So
that's true. That's true. I'll always be around.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I saw when I was playing against you was that you had a force of will that that I actually thought that you'd blacked out the art on the Forcible. I thought that you'd like got a marker and blacked it out, which I was all for. Turns out you used an inner sleeve, which is actually way smarter, right? Considering it's an expensive card.
You never know when you could give it away to charity.
That's the other thing, right? So I'm like, hey, Angus, I'm gonna send you a Forcible, right? I'm gonna send you a Forcible, but with the different art. So the Double Masters art, the full art one, which I don't know, I think looks pretty sweet. And you're like, okay, yeah, I'll snap give away my Forcible to charity. Not just like sell it or do anything else, you just like snap give it away to charity, which is just lovely. So without further ado, I sent you a Forcible, so you can open that and let people kind of see. I've kind of slow rolled it a little bit in terms of like I've got it inside like the other way in the sleeve, so you can't actually see that it's a Forcible.
So
but,
really huge slow roll here, especially because I received this about 3 or 4 days ago via express post, and I'm like, "Ooh, a card is here from Isaac," and then I opened it, and I was like, tortured by the open on stream envelope.
And then I just tell people what's inside it. So,
well, we don't know. We don't know. It could be anything. But yeah, honestly, it was like really sweet. You were very kind in your messaging to me, saying that, you know, I want to do something really special for you as a thank you. And it's as it says here, thank you so much for your amazing contribution to the community, which is really sweet. And some longtime Angus aficionados will know that a very long time ago, I got a Bazaar Baghdad from some of my closest friends before they sparked in price. And it's one of those things that you just can't sell. Like you can be as far away from Magic as possible, but it's just nothing that you can sort of get rid of, because even though the card is worth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the finals of this fantastic league. I am Vance. With me is Athiet.
Hello.
And we're just about to tell the players to go. So we should have a match starting in a minute. So we've got, for those joining us late, Michael Billinghurst of Melbourne on Esper Tempo, and Greg Dyer of San Francisco, if memory serves me, on a deck that they're calling Wheel of Trinkets, which is a combo deck of some description.
Yes, it's all sorts of individual combos, but a big focus is on things like Underworld Breach, Lionside Diamond, and Brain Freeze or Wheel of Fortune to mill their opponent out, or indeed Painter's Servant and Millstone. Grindstone to also mill the opponent out. A bunch of fun things that we haven't seen a lot of people use anymore. And then the Savine's Reclamation thing that decks like Slush Puppy also, and indeed increasingly my own Dr. Seuss take advantage of.
Yeah, indeed. In the last round, Greg won the second match by just Savine's Reclamation back, Grindstone, and Painter's Servant all at once, and then the opponent didn't have a library anymore. So yeah, as you can see, this is Greg's deck. It looks pretty sweet to me. Sorry, just making this full screen. So yeah, there's all sorts of cool Highlander cards in there. Like Notion Thief is great for when your opponent is trying to do various naughty things. I assume there's a Hull Breacher in there that I can't.
Yeah, there's a Hull Breacher and more than one wheel effect.
Yeah, yes. Well, that's indeed why it's called Wheel of Trinkets, I guess. So yeah, there's all sorts of just really fun, cool stuff going on this deck list. Like, and it's got all sorts of cards that you don't usually see at the same time. And here is Michael's Esper Tempo list. So this is in some ways more traditional Highlander deck. So its goal is to play things like Delver of Secrets and Tasigur and other delve threats for cheap, and then protect them with counter magic. Cool. So we're at the table now. Michael has mulliganed to 6 and is on the top of your display. But other than that, we're just shiny and new.
And starting with the discard spell right at the start, which is the kind of thing that a tempo deck probably does want to play against the combo deck, work out what they're facing.
Taking a Lotus, that seems like a pretty good thing to take.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And Michael has kindly taken a screenshot of the hand for us because we can't see the hands, unfortunately. So Sorry, not Michael, Jimbo. So we've got a Plains, a Mishra's Bauble, an Astrolabe, and Opal. So it's not a super exciting looking hand.
Yeah, it was a hand with a lot of mana, but not any action as yet.
Yeah. But a hand with a lot of mana is the sort of hand from a combo deck that can just get out of hand quickly if they do draw some action.
It does look like Greg is spending some time inspecting the hand seen with Bauble.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting looking at the two decks. The starting thought that I have is that there's not a lot of removal in Greg's deck. So when it comes to the matchup with Michael, he really has to get going like a combo off very quickly, because he's just not going to be able to do very much if Michael gets a few threats down.
Yeah, it's very much a race from his side. Whereas Michael has enough counter magic that he might be able to, or counter magic and discard like Inquisition as we saw, that he might be able to disrupt Greg enough for his Tasigur or what have you to clock him across the face several times.
Yeah, which is a fairly common version of the tempo versus fairly all-in combo matchup. And Wheel of Trinkets is a very all-in combo deck, even though it's not the kind of all-in combo that we're used to in Highlander with Storm and Channel and decks of that kind.
You know, it's from the point of view of the community, this deck's really exciting because it's definitely looks like a deck that some people have looked at the points list, gone, all right, what can I get away with? Oh, the Mentor is a really good early start though, because
it's one of the very one of the non combo ways that the Wheel of Trinkets deck can win, in fact.
Yeah, and as we all know from having seen Mentor played in Highlander and Vintage or whatever, a deck with a lot of Mishra's Bauble type effects, Mentor gets out of control fast, or it just gets put back in your hand. Teferi, everyone's favorite friend, bouncing the Mentor and drawing a card. So, Teferi on the watch list currently, I think.
I'm going to be honest, I don't remember, but it's certainly a powerful enough card and a disruptive enough card that if I'm not sad. If
it's not on the watch list, then I'm giving you some insight into the inner workings of the committee, because we certainly discussed putting it on the watch list. Yeah. And Jace is already transformed into Jace Telepath Unbound, probably.
Yeah, something. I think it's Telepath Unbound. It is very much one of those cards where if you're playing Jace at all, it will flip pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Which has certainly been my experience with the card as well in Dr. Seuss. It's not hard.
Oh, jeez.
In Highlander, and this is not the kind of thing.
All the Planeswalkers all the time.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the start you expect when your opponent is on a tempo deck for them to just play chain Planeswalker after Planeswalker. But my goodness, it's a lot to work through. And that Mentor got bounced again by a different Planeswalker.
Yeah, by Jace the Mind Sculptor in Michael's deck for 1 point. And I mean, I guess the other thing from Michael's point of view is that unless this Mentor gets out of control, these Planeswalkers are basically invincible. Like, there's little to nothing in the opposing deck that'll kill them. But a card like Painter's Servant might just kill you.
Yes, our friend the Monastery Mentor down for the third time.
So all permanents are now blue. Even if they were already blue before, they're still blue. Yeah, third Monastery Mentor.
Yes, and we'll have to... You do have to wonder if the Painter's Servant is connected to a Grindstone from Greg, or if it's just coming down to start representing, like, to do more than one thing a turn, because the problem that Greg is having is that Michael has just managed to reverse every turn that Greg has taken so far, until this one, essentially.
Yeah, Michael's just been slowly developing his board, whilst Greg has been slowly undeveloping his board, basically. So where Jace Telepath Unbound is shrinking the Mentor, which won't stay shrunk for long. Oh, and now there's a Mentor on the other side, so it's it's all mentors all the time, and they're all blue, just for lols.
Just for value. One of the interesting things here is that Michael has tapped out. So if Greg does happen to have the grindstone, that may not bode well, but it will depend on what happens in this coming turn.
Yeah. There's also, Michael's got 5 cards in hand, so he could easily have a Forcer equivalent.
Yes, and the grindstone would be affected by either Force of Will or Force of Negation. But
yeah.
On the other hand, that looks like a shockland that was played without paying the shock. So
yeah, I think it was just play a shockland past the turn.
Yeah. So you were saying before a whole bunch of things happened and we got distracted. That it's really exciting for the community to see this kind of all-in combo deck that isn't what we're used to.
Yeah, that's right. That's something different than your traditional, Storm, or Channel, because that's not a good hand. So Greg's in a bit of a spot here because he's just got land. But yeah, it's really cool to see something that's different from, your normal Channel or Storm or that kind of deck, because and it's kind of what we expected when you expand the format out to people from different places, is that they'll look at the points list, they'll find other angles of attack, and we won't have expected them. And for a period until the points catch up, they'll have a big advantage from doing that. Like, it's why we always describe this format as a Brewers format, because if you can find an angle that the points list doesn't cover, then you've got a huge advantage.
Yeah.
If we, in a hypothetical future word, put a point on Mox Opal, then all the people playing it at the moment are effectively playing 8-point decks.
Yes, and there certainly have been a lot of times in the last sort of 15 months or so, where we've seen decks do quite well in the format and then very rapidly become 10 to 12 point decks.
I think the Oracle decks from Highlander Nationals 2019 are like 16 points or 15 points currently.
Yes, so it's very interesting. It will be very interesting to see if people adopting this kind of this Wheel of Trinkets type deck are doing something similar.
Yeah.
And it is also, as you say, very interesting to see people from other places pick up these kinds of things, because one of the combos in this deck is something that people have been putting, as I mentioned at the start, in a bunch of decks already, but no one's really gone all in on the concept before.
Yeah. Now we're seeing from Michael's side, he's building up a bit of a swarm of monks. I don't know what the collective noun for a group of monks is, like a cloister of monks or something.
Well, I imagine it's a monastery.
A monastery of monks, yeah, I guess. But as well as that, there's a big risk for Greg in that Jace Telepath Unbound is on 8, and I think at 10, it's mill 5 cards every time you cast a spell. From memory,
it is a potent ultimate. I think it might be 9 or 10.
Yeah. But still, it's approaching that ultimate. So we've got lots of angles of attack. And again, when we saw Greg's hand 2 turns ago, or last turn, it was Bloodstained Mire, Snow-Covered Island, Spire of Industry. So
we're also getting a bit of a chain of spells right here. So there's going to be quite a lot of damage from the original Mentor in the first few months.
In fact, this may well just be lethal, because the Mentor's up to a 5/5. Those 2 monks are, I think, 4/4.
They should be 4/4s, yeah. So it's only one more.
And he's spell piercing his own gush so that he's got
to get the kill. There we go.
All right.
Once Mentor has stayed on the battlefield and there are no blockers, it doesn't normally take very long.
But particularly not when one of the players has multiple Jaces letting them flashback spells and brainstorm spells, and has got a Narset letting them impulse once a turn.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to have another bit of a look at Greg's deck list, I think, here.
For sideboarding? Yes, there we go.
For sideboarding. So the Red Blast, for sure, is going in.
It's basically the blasts. There's a Toxic Deluge in the sideboard as well, that I think is absolutely coming in. The Supreme Verdict is... Oh, no, that's the wrong deck. Sorry.
Collective Brutality is
that's
probably
the
a
other
good
version.
choice.
Yeah, Collective Brutality. That's right. This does not have a deluge. I'm sorry. I was looking at the other person playing a Wheel of Trinkets deck. You might also get things like Walking Ballista coming in, which is a little bit of an unusual option. But so many of the threats in the tempo deck are actually X1s.
Yeah.
So Walking Ballista might actually be able to take down a Brazen Borrower or a Vendilion Click or something like that.
Yeah. What do you think of things like the Tormod's Crypt and the Soul Glide Lantern for just dealing with graveyards?
So it's an interesting question. There are things in Michael's deck that do rely on the graveyard that you might want to obstruct. Things like the Ethereal Forager, the Dig Through Time, obviously. And you might be in a position where, because the Wheel of Trinkets deck that Greg is playing actually does like to take advantage of its graveyard, you might want those kinds of things to deal with the Cling to Dust in Michael's deck. So you might need your own graveyard hate to protect your graveyard from that escape reusable graveyard removal.
On Michael's side, look, again, some of the graveyard removal seems great.
I would imagine the Ashiok is a relevant point.
Ashiok is very good at just making your opponent's life more difficult in general. Stony Silence is also very good against, obviously, the just sea of artifacts.
The sea of artifacts. You might also, depending on how Michael is thinking, he might also look at things like the Flusterstorm, because that, of course, if the Mind's Desire thing is, not Mind's Desire, sorry, Brain Freeze. If the Brain Freeze thing is going, if you Flusterstorm the first Brain Freeze, then you can stop the combo turn dead in its tracks.
And the bird, the name of which escapes me, which stifles a trigger.
Nimble Obstructionist.
Nimble Obstructionist is also good for similar reasons. It can stop a Grindstone.
And you might also look at things like the Nile Spellbomb to as, again, the increased amount of graveyard hate.
So I think there's...
And you also take out...
options. The other thing you've got to consider, though, particularly from the combo deck's point of view, is you can't... In a combo deck, you generally can't side in too many cards, or you just stop having enough density of combo pieces. But maybe because he's got the ability to search with things like Trinket Mage, that's less of an issue for some of the artifact sideboard cards. So, all right, and we're heading back to the table now. Greg on the bottom of the screen will be going first because he lost. We've had Lutri still declared as a companion, which is good because I don't know what would stop that in this format.
Yes, you do have to. If Lutri wasn't being declared as a companion, you'd have to wonder why.
But that's okay. That's all happened. And we're just... looks like Greg has taken at least one mulligan, and we're just waiting for that to resolve. I think Michael is on 7. Yeah, Michael's on 7.
Definitely it does look like it's a complex 6-card hand or potential 6-card hand for Michael to consider.
But Greg to consider.
For Greg to consider,
Well, again, that's... He doesn't want to get stuck in the position he was in last game where he's got a lot of A's and not enough B's.
Yes, which is always the risk of this kind of combo deck.
All right, so he did end up keeping 6, and he's leading off with a Mana Vault. 1 point, good start. Oh, and a Mishra's Bauble. So he's definitely got some stuff.
Yeah, there's some things going on here, but we also don't know whether the things that are going on are leading to anywhere at this point, which is often the problem with a card like Mana Vault. You can play it, and that's great, and then not have anything to spend the mana on.
But it looks like we've definitely got something to spend the mana on because we're tapping 5. Oh, for Urza, Lord High Artificer, who is a bit of a beat stick if he resolves. He does not resolve.
That does it. That does also explain why the Mishra's Bauble didn't get used right away. The fact that an Urza was coming later.
And it looks like one of those plays. I think Michael is on 61 cards. So sided in an extra card. Maybe couldn't decide what else to take out.
Well, it does can mess with the maths for a deck that is spending a lot of its time trying to mill you out via things that count. Obviously, for Grindstone and Pain to 7, it doesn't really matter how many cards are in your library.
It does for the brain freeze kill.
It does for the brain freeze or Wheel of Fortune kill.
Yep.
And in particular with Wheel of Fortune, you can end up in a problem where you can't use it to kill someone because you yourself will also run out of cards.
Yeah.
Which is definitely a problem I have had using that combo in games.
Yeah, so Greg's definitely had a more active hand than last time, but
Michael's been in a position to respond to it thus far.
Yeah. Well, like Force of Will is a powerful magic card.
There is a reason why it's a point.
Well, we've got a Monastery Mentor. No, we don't have a Monastery Mentor. All right. So Michael appears to have had a fairly reactive hand, which is working out well for him so far.
Yes.
You always hate it when your opponent pays 2 for a Water Grave in this kind of matchup.
It does mean there's something coming, certainly.
Yeah. Mentor of his own, possibly.
Yeah, it could be. It does. There clearly must be multiple things to spend 3 mana on for it to be taking, like, for Michael to be thinking about what to do.
It's not a mentor because he's got blue, blue, black. So Narset or something similar, I would guess. But we'll find out in a second.
Yeah, there are a lot of blue, blue, and 1.
Oh, Tasiga. That explains why you had to think a lot, because you have to work out which parts of your graveyard you want to leave behind.
What to delve and what not to. That's also obviously going to be a bit of a problem for Greg. Tasiga is quite a large threat.
Yeah.
And particularly if the Tasiga ends up bringing back that counter spell.
Yeah, well, and that will be why Michael's left the Scalding Time behind, because it limits your opponent's options on what they can give you back. Like normally, if you've got a Gurmag Angler, all those lands gone first.
Yeah, but with a Tasiga, you want to be in the position where if you're activating the Tasiga, you have only things that you want.
Yeah, that's right. So we fetched an Arkham's Astrolabe and played an Urza's Bauble there. Yeah, and Michael's even got the 4th land, so can activate Tasiga as well.
Yeah.
Also, that Mana Vault is putting a bit of a hurt on.
Yeah, particularly with the 4 power threat on the other side, also sitting around, it can be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, because so far he's taken 4 damage from that Mana Vault, I think. So it's like a whole extra turn's worth of Tasiga attacks.
Yeah. The good old Faithless Looting, trying to just dig deeper and find, I guess, either a combo or a way to get out of this.
All right, so options to give back are Counterspell, Inquisition, and a card I can't read, but it costs Eliminate. Right.
Those all seem very unfortunate for Greg to be having to hand back, but I think it may well be the Eliminate, just because you don't really care about having your Trinket Mage.
It kind of costs you 4 life, but you can't win if your opponent has a counterspell or a way to break your hand open.
Right, and he has in fact picked the Eliminate.
Yeah.
Right, and snapping off the Trinket Mage as a chump blocker right away, because with the Eliminate sitting there.
Yeah. And Michael obviously deciding he'd rather keep his mana up than
the
Eliminate.
I imagine a combination of that, and also there are more dangerous things to hold that Eliminate for in... a bolt on the Tasiga. So 2-card trade for the Tasiga because the Trinket Mage got to deal damage, which is actually...
That's a big game.
A big game for Greg, and buys a lot of time, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's got to find a way to untap this Mana Vault in the not too distant future. But he might just... It's possible Greg can just combo off without that ever happening.
Yes. Any number of things could happen from here. It's true. And of course that Jace has been dealt with the Pirate Spellbomb.
Yep.
So the board is quite empty at this point, and we're sort of waiting on...
Ooh, we've got a Grindstone coming into play.
Right, and this is one of the reasons why it's important that Michael still has the Eliminate in hand, because the Painter's Servant, I believe, is a valid target for that.
Yeah, because Eliminate just kills a cheap creature or planeswalker.
Yes.
And Painter Servant is definitely one of those things.
Yes. So there's a definite, if Greg is trying to use that particular combo to win, he needs to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, now we have the Mentor on Michael's side, which is yet another threat that Greg just has to deal with somehow or win before it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
And there's enough mana on Michael's side that it could get out of hand immediately.
Yeah, although he's only got 3 cards in hand, so it's probably not super bad.
Yeah, Greg is only on 8 though.
Yeah, it's probably a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, if there are any spells in Michael's hand.
Essentially any spell.
Greg continuing to ponder, digging for a way to end the game before that becomes an issue, or to deal with the Mentor directly.
Yeah.
I just say one of the things I admire about combo versus tempo matchups is they tend to go very, very quickly.
Oh, absolutely. There's no mucking around going on. Players are taking a not unreasonable time to think, but they're also playing quite fast.
Yes, the games just don't go long.
Yeah, this game is unlikely to go to like turn 12 or something.
Yes, you would be quite surprised, honestly, if it went that long. In fact, one way or another, it could easily be done in 3 turns from here.
Yeah, I think almost guaranteed it's done in 3 turns from here. So, Greg taking some thought on this ponder. He shuffled his library, so obviously the top 3 cards he decided were not going to get there.
Yeah, that does sound like one of those moments where you ponder and you look at the 3 cards and you think, these cards are all good, but I can't actually find a way to get out of my immediate problem with any of them, and I have to get out of my problem quickly.
Yeah. So chose not to untap the Mana Vault. Ooh, Lurrus is...
Lurrus is potentially quite big game, particularly since Lurrus resolved.
Yeah.
There are
So there's a variety of baubles you can get back. There's a Mox Diamond, I think Urza's and Mishra's bauble.
Unfortunately, there's not quite enough mana to get the
Pyrite Spellbomb, but you can't get it back and pop it.
Yes, unless there's a card in hand, like a land in hand, which will be relevant.
Maybe there is.
Yeah, maybe there is, but that is getting a response.
Yeah, but at this point, at the end of turn, we're getting eliminated. The spell's getting countered, and
one spell next turn is lethal at this point for Michael.
No spells next turn is lethal now that there's that dig through time.
No, that's not.
Because you can untap the Mana Vault, I guess. You can untap the Mana Vault. But
You can untap.
Spell is lethal.
One spell next turn is lethal, and the dig through time is likely to have found one.
You'd be pretty surprised if it didn't. And there's a hint of Turak, which makes all the monks swole, and presumably causes the game to end unless something very surprising is about to happen.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. So Michael Billinghurst has won the match. He's won an Underground Sea. But Greg's not going home empty-handed because the second prize is also good. I
don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is offhand. But the second prize is a foil for Phyrexian Elish Norn, so that's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, definitely a fun thing to have won.
Fun and worth a reasonable amount of money.
Yes,
those things are not easy to get your hands on. So that's pretty great. Like for a tournament where your entry fee was no dollars, you have to build your deck on Magic Online, which is obviously a cost, but no dollars entry, win an Underground Sea, I'd be happy.
Yeah, definitely. Particularly given I'm pretty sure Underground Sea has been one of the things that has gone up a fair bit in value since the tournament started.
Yeah. Underground Sea is worth quite a chunk more than it was a couple of weeks ago. So, Michael Billinghurst, he won the Blue Whale Open Season 2. So
running it back in the MTGO League.
Yeah. So I think we'd say he's okay at this game.
Yeah.
And this format.
And the format, definitely.
So his points for anyone interested were Dig Through Time on 2, and then Jace, Force of Will, Snapcaster, Mana Drain, and Lutri as a companion. Lutri's worth a point either way, but yeah, Lutri. During the event, he played Esper Tempo, Band Ephemerate, Bug Oracle. Being from Melbourne, I would be shocked if there were no Oracle lists on that list because
they are very fond of it in Melbourne.
They do like it quite a bit. And with that, I think we're done, and I think we're about to throw to an interview with Michael, unless I'm grossly mistaken. So thanks everyone for listening, and hope to see you in the next league.
Welcome to the winners interview. We're here with Michael Billinghurst. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to pull this one up here. So this is the Underground Sea that you've just won. How are you feeling about it? What's give me a
pretty
take?
good. I'm excited. That was a sweet event. I was pretty nervous going into that match, but the cards lined up well. I feel great. It's been I don't know if it's a great hell of a card. Like, it's exciting as hell.
Were you pretty happy to have that Forcible when you needed it for the?
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, what's the worst that could? Oh, that's real bad. Luckily, I had the Force.
Yeah, that's turn 2 on the play was with an Urza there, and you snapped off the Forcible with one card in hand. And so there's not many cards in your deck that can actually counter a creature on turn with 1 mana in play. Yeah.
No, there's like countering the Urza. It's just Force of Will, I think. There's like a spell snare, spell piece, all it's 1 mana counters. So.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. And then all those Planeswalkers in game 1, which was I don't know, it was cool to see. It's cool to see that. Now this is one of your pet decks, yeah? Like Esper is like your go-to, yeah?
Yeah. So I think I built this deck for CanCon last year, and then I've been like tuning it and playing it on and off since then. So
you've got a lot of experience with the deck, and you know how to play the deck, how to sideboard with the deck, and you kind of you're all over it. Yeah, that's the case.
I think so. I think I had a bit of trouble. I went to sideboarding right in the first round.
Oh, you've guessed what my next question is, which is
great.
How did you get to 61 cards?
Oh, it's great. I was like, all right, so siding in, siding out, no worries, not a problem. Wait a minute, my sideboard's changed since I played this last. I tanked for ages, and I was like, I don't know, I don't want to cut. It's probably not important to submit.
I mean, look, I like people that know me and have certainly jumped on my stream before know that I'm a big fan of 41 cards. Less so on the 61 cards, but like I think that there's some merit to just acknowledging that, like, you know, I know I want these cards in. It's so much easier to side cards in than to side out. Just not knowing exactly what you want, and particularly with these like different silver bullets that you have, it's really hard to know. Like, I want them in my deck, but I don't know exactly what to take out. But it lined up well, and that Force of Will, awesome to see, man. I'm really looking forward to like either giving this to you in person, lockdown restrictions, like when we can actually see each other, or to actually mail it out to you. I'm also really excited to send this one out as well. This is the foil Alishnor to second place, which is just like, if you remember correctly, we started with this one in first place. Yep. And then you see the back of, so this is the Underground Sea, and then this is like the back of it says first place now. We upgraded it to Underground Sea to make it. So the testament being something that, going towards this MOX. How are you feeling about the MOX tournament?
Oh, I'm so excited. I've been like trying to get everyone I know to be like, come play Highlander. Highlander's great. You can win a MOX. It's so much fun. Even if you scrub out, it doesn't matter because it's going to be great fun anyway. I'm so keen. So keen.
I've got another question for you with this tournament coming up. We've got, free giveaways for CFB, which not sponsored, just me giving back. For content creation, and then $100 gift voucher given away over the next 4 weeks for content creation. How are you with content creation? And then are you going to start to dabble? What's the go?
I'm definitely going to dabble. I think Paul's been running a stream for prehistorically, and I'd love to get that back and up and going. I think there's some rumors in the rumor mill that there's going to be some events in that regard. Otherwise, maybe get some videos going, maybe do a deck tech or two, or see what we can do. But I'm really keen to get involved.
I think I can speak for chat here when I say that we would really appreciate a deck tech video for this Esper control deck. You know, the point selection between Dig Through Time, Jace the Mind Sculptor, why are you choosing these points? what kind of things you need to be aware of when building your sideboard. Because I know that every time I see your sideboard, it's different depending on what you're playing against and like what you're predicting. So I'd be super keen to consume some content and pick your brain regarding how you built this deck and how you tweak it. Because, you know, winning today, winning a couple of weeks ago with the Blue Bell Open, you know, you've clearly got some skills. So share this knowledge with the rest of the world.
Will do. And if anyone has questions, hit me on Discord. I'm basically there all the time. So ask questions and think I'll be able to help out with people. So
congratulations once again. Thanks for joining us. We will get Jimbo on stream momentarily so that I can ask Jimbo a couple of questions. We'll give a, you know, like go back over some of the information that we've gone through today, and then we'll call it.
Okay. Thanks. See you guys.
See ya. Just getting Jimbo on now. Oh, that's probably because you're trying to have your chat, your video in Zoom as well as Discord. That's my guess. My hot take. Whilst you get that sorted out, I would like to mention something that's super important to me, which is just the amount of help that I've received in creating this event. Now, I have mentioned Jimbo, and we've you know, that sweet hype train. Jimbo is, you know, an amazing person, an amazing aid to creating all of this. Also, Pat from Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar, who I've mentioned a few times, along with Angus, who you know, we went through that the foil Force of Will. But there's another couple of people that I think are super important to mention. One is Vance. Vance, he's super active on Discord, super active on answering questions and that kind of thing. So, you know, big shout out to Vance. And the other person that I haven't mentioned today, who is arguably one of the most important people within the community, somebody that has lent me cards personally, has lent heaps of cards to different people, who has gone to just amazing amount of efforts in creating and digitizing deck list submissions, in being able to collect data and give it to people, always behind the scene, and that's Graham King. So Graham King is someone who I have infinite respect for. Just a top person, and great to interact with, and just so selfless in the things that he does. So I really want to shout out to Graham and just say straight up thank you, Graham. Thank you for the work that you do, and the things that you commit to and provide to 7 Point Highlander and the Magic community. Just awesome. It's just straight up awesome.
Muted. Hey, I'm unmuted now. There we go.
All right, yeah. Jimbo is here. Yeah,
I'm glad
Jimbo
I was
awesome.
There. Yeah, bow down to the king. He puts in a lot of effort, a lot of work, and it pays off. You know, the all of the deck list history we have online, a lot of that has been contributed to by Graham. Yep. I know there's definitely other key players that contribute to that. Vale MTG in the chat is definitely one of them, and definitely our interstate, you know, aficionados as well. But a lot of the lifting at the interstate events, you know, the cross-state events, I guess, is handled by Graham.
Yeah, just so much, like over the years, like literal years of like. Just like all these little things behind the scenes where you see data up, you see deck lists here, you like find out about this event, or even just like lending cards, or you know, telling people about stuff, or answering questions in Discord, or answering questions online. Just an integral part of the community.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Isaac, you said the magic word again. You said community. Is there still one more giveaway to go?
I didn't have one lined up, but if you're going to pressure me to give away another giveaway, what do you reckon?
I think you messaged me about 4. There was one. You asked specifically for advice on how to improve.
Oh yeah, I always forget about
MTG options.
Okay, so final giveaway for today. This is how you're going to enter. You have to enter by answering this question. How would you improve the Rob's MTG Auctions logo? So if we're can we bring up that logo? Is that able to be done? Yeah, okay. So this is we've got the Rob's MTG Auctions on the right and MTG Bazaar on the left. Okay, so the way that you enter this event is that you have to put in exclamation mark and then the way that you would improve or how you could potentially improve on the Rob's MTG Auctions logo. And what's the actual specific code that you have to put in there?
Well, the only way to improve the code, the logo, and we're about to kick off this this entry here, open for 2 minutes. The only way you would actually change the logo to make it better is nothing.
Yeah, so that's so you just have to honestly tell us how the logo could be improved by putting in exclamation mark nothing. Exclamation mark nothing is the only way that you could possibly improve the Rob's MTG Auctions logo, which I will tell you, we have been offered multiple, like we're talking 10 plus different designers, different artists say, hey, I noticed you got this logo. It was done in MS Paint in 3 seconds. I will create you one for free, and I'll put a bunch of effort in just because I love what you guys do. And we very respectfully appreciate that. And like I straight up do. Like it's lovely. But also, we are so pot committed to this logo. We love it. We love it. Created in MS Paint by Rob CJ of Rob's MTG Auctions in approximately 3 to 5 seconds. And it will remain. It will remain. Yeah. So exclamation mark nothing if you want to enter this one. You're going to get $50 in credit to Rob's MTG Auctions. Cool. So just let us know who that winner is. How long we got? How long have we got?
We got half a minute left.
Okay, half a minute left.
Yeah.
So
chat wants to know if you can get playmats with this logo on it.
Oh, yes, you can. So if you go to robsmtgauctions.com.au, we actually have a store there and you can buy the playmats. We are actually selling them at below cost. So we are losing money on actually sending these playmats out. But love them. They're awesome. And we want to see people play with them. So I think it ends up being $25 delivered. So I think the postage is like $15, and the actual playmat we've reduced down to $10. Yeah. So.
All right, it's time for me to pick a winner. But before I do that, do you want to? There's someone's asking for a story.
A story.
Yeah. Does Isaac have any stories?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you one story about one of the original inklings for this Mox Highlander event. I was watching Dukes and Pleasant Kenobi on YouTube, and the two of them were actually doing some 7-point Highlander, and it was something that I was like, oh, that's sweet. Like Pleasant Kenobi and Dukes doing some 7-point Highlander, and there was some talk there about the cost of a Mox, and how on MTGO it's really cheap to get a Mox. In real life, it's really expensive. And I was like, you know what? That is true. I do like MTGO, how it's so much cheaper to buy cards there, particularly Power. But also, I'd really like it if Dukes and Pleasant Kenobi had the opportunity to win a Mox. So that just kind of buried its way into my brain watching that YouTube video. And, you know, like iterations and different like permutations, and then COVID coming in and all this different stuff. It means that we've got the tournament that we've got coming up in 2 months. So definitely encourage people to sign up for that sooner rather than later. The sign up will go in about a week. Is that right?
Yeah, open in about a week. Let me get the details for that on the screen. There you go. There's the prizes again. Unlimited Mox Emerald for first, Revised Bay for second, Beta Bolts for third and fourth, Misties for 5th through 8th, and a whole bunch of other stuff like this giveaway we're doing right now.
It's just an insane amount of prizes.
It's huge. All right, so let's pick this up then. Let's pick a winner. $50 voucher for Rob's MTG Auctions, even though it says Bazaar. That's my typo. Let's have a look here. Mr. Verbal himself.
Verbal.
All right. Vance picking up the $50 voucher. Congratulations, sir.
And there's auctions going on every night on Rob's MTG Auctions. They finish at 8 p.m. Melbourne time. So certainly encourage you to check them out. And, we have a bunch of awesome admins that are always putting up sweet cards. So, shout out to Rob's MTG Auctions, who I know is like me and Scott and a bunch of other admins all kind of working together just to make sweet availability of different cards, and good deals as well. So
all right, so that's actually going to wrap us up for the day. Big thanks to everyone for hanging out. Isaac for putting all of this together. Angus and Graham, the entire back end team for organizing everything. All the commentators who volunteered today. There was a lot of hands that went into making today work.
So many hands.
We are going to end off here. We're going to leave it just on the screen that we're on now, actually. And we're going to raid someone you just mentioned, Doogs. He's streaming right now. I'm assuming he's streaming some Legacy. We're going to send a raid over his way. And we're going to... Graham suggested we all say Moxalicious when we get in there. How do we use gift vouchers? That's a great question. I would suggest messaging the people in charge of the place you won the thing for.
If you message me, I will coordinate it for you. So message me on Facebook is probably the best way to do it, and I will coordinate that with the respective people and get it all sorted.
Great. All right. Well, Isaac, thanks again. And,
nice.
I'll catch you for the next one of these.
Yeah, let's go raid and spam Moxalicious into chat.
That's it.